Huge noise here in St. Louis as we are underway as Biggio bunts the first pitch down to third, barehanded by Nunez, and he throws him out. So Biggio testing Abraham Nunez early, and Nunez responds with a terrific play.
Not a bad idea by Craig, though. He struggled against Mulder, only 2 for 18, so he thought he would test Nunez. Nunez flashed in, made the barehanded pickup. Scott Rolen couldn't have done it any better.
Now Willie Taveras back into the starting lineup for the first time since Game 2. The rookie center fielder with blazing speed hit .291 during the season. Nunez way in on the grass. Pujols even with a bag at first. The crowd really into it right from the get-go here tonight as Taveras looks at a called strike. These are folks who didn't think they'd get a chance to see their team again this year. Didn't think they'd get a chance to see this stadium ever again. The 0-1, a swing and a miss and a good sharp slider. And Mulder is out in front 0-2. 72 degrees at game time here in St. Louis. Time of the first pitch, 7:29 Central Time. We are underway in Game 6. The 0-2, a fastball outside. Jerry Davis has mentioned working the plate tonight. Tim McClellan, the crew chief, at first. Greg Gibson at second. Wally Bell at third. Phil Cuzzi, public enemy number 1 in the Midwest, down the left field line. Larry Poncino on the right field line. The 1-2 and a swing and a ground ball back to the mound. Easy play for Mulder. Fires it on to Pujols at first. 2 down.
Well, Mulder off to a good start. Keep the crowd in it. Don't let the Astros score in the first inning. Good play by Nunez. Good pitching by Mulder in the early going.
Now Lance Berkman playing first base tonight. The switch hitter batting from the right side. They're booing Berkman because he hit the big home run back in Game 5 that looked like it would be enough to send the Astros onto the World Series. After the Berkman home run until the Pujols home run was one heck of a 33-minute party down in Houston. But the party ended abruptly. The pitch for Mulder, a swing and a ground ball out to short. Eckstein a step to his right, up with it, and on to first in time. What a good start for Mark Mulder and the Cardinals. Eckstein hit .294 during the season. He is 4 for 17 in the series. Roy Oswalt, a 20-game winner during the season on the mound for the Astros, and his first pitch, a fastball in for a strike, 0-1. Tony La Russa telling us before the game about how much he admired Eckstein from afar. Had only seen him in person once before, and that was in a 2002 interleague series between the Cardinals and the Angels, and that's where Eckstein was that year. The 0-1 and a slider misses high, a ball and a strike. But he said to truly appreciate David Eckstein, Soup, you've got to see him on a daily basis.
Yeah, and we saw him a lot in postseason 2002, and he certainly grew on us in a hurry.
Morgan Ensberg a step inside the bag at third. Berkman deep at first. Outfielders play Eckstein to hit the other way. A fastball swung on and grounded weakly out to short. Everett up with it. Low throw dug out by Berkman, and Eckstein is retired. 1 down. Tell us a little bit about Roy Oswalt and what you think of what he's done so far in the postseason.
Well, he may be the mentally toughest pitcher the Astros have right now, and that's saying something because of a guy named Roger Clemens. But Clemens, I think, is lamed a little bit with leg issues, and if there's one guy who's going to pitch 2 games in a row, it's this guy. He can throw 95, 96. Got a real slow curveball. He'll cut the fastball. He is a tremendous competitor. Comes from a town of 550 people, as Lance Berkman said to him after Game 2. He said they might not have found out about it until about 3 days later.
Here's Jim Edmonds. 1 out, nobody on, no score, bottom of the first, and a fastball is swung on and missed, 0-1. Roy Oswalt won the division series clincher against Atlanta last year. Won the wild card clincher on the final day of the regular season this year. Beat the Braves in Game 3 of the division series a couple of weeks ago, and to beat the Cardinals here in Game 2 of this series. Now he misses up and away with the breaking ball. The count is 1-1 on Edmonds. Edmonds, of course, drawing the walk after the Eckstein single, leading up to the Pujols home run. Pujols is on deck, and we're going to do the smart radio thing. And when the PA announcer says his name, we're going to lay out a little bit and let you hear the kind of ovation that he gets from the fans here in St. Louis. 1 out, nobody on, and a 1-1 count on Edmonds. The pitch from Oswalt, fastball over the outside corner for called strike 2, 1-2.
The St. Louis Post-Dispatch simply referred to him today as the Great Pujols, and I can't dispute that.
Oswalt looking into Ausmus for the sign. Now rocks into the windup, and the 1-2 is inside, 2-2. In a a takeoff of Who's Your Daddy. They've abbreviated Pujols' name to the first 3 letters, P-U-J. And there's a sign here that says, Who's Your Daddy? 2 balls, 2 strikes to count on Edmonds. And the pitch from Oswalt. Fastball just outside. Didn't miss by much. And a full count. Edmonds 4 for 16 in the NLCS. 263, 29 homers during the regular season. Infielders play him to pull. Outfielders slightly to pull. 3-2 the count. No score, bottom of the first. Oswalt into the windup, and the pitch misses inside. Ball 4. So a man on for Albert Pujols here in the first inning. That'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up a little bit, won't it?
Yeah, Prince Albert. Or King Albert.
Yep.
Whatever he is royalty in St. Louis.
Runner at first, 1 out. Pujols the batter, and a fastball in for a strike from Oswalt. Somehow I'm sensing, even though the Rams were playing on Monday night, that a few folks actually paid attention to the baseball game.
Outrated the Rams on TV 3-1.
MVP is the chant here, whether they mean regular season or NLCS, who knows. The 0-1 is outside, a ball and a strike.
Both.
You know what? If the Cardinals come back to win this series, they might be right on both counts. Pujols in this series hitting .368, 7 for 19 with a couple of homers and 6 RBIs, hitting .429 overall in this year's playoffs. The 1-1 and a swing and a foul back, 1-2. And against Oswalt, one of the very best pitchers in the game, including his postseason at-bats, Pujols is hitting .383, 18 for 47 with 3 home runs against Roy Oswalt. That's amazing.
Well, some people think Alex Rodriguez is the best player in the game. I think this guy is, because he comes up a lot bigger in postseason, at least at this part in his career.
The 1-2 and a swing and a miss as Pujols could not check the swing, and a ball that ran in on him, and he strikes out, but still gets a big ovation and a standing ovation for the folks over the first base dugout as he makes his way back to the dugout, now 2 down.
Danny, even though Jim Edmonds and David Eckstein only have 4 hits between them, they've been on base 17 times in this series. They each have, Edmonds has got 5 walks now. David Eckstein has got 3 walks and has been hit by a pitch. So 17 times makes it more difficult to pitch around Pujols and Walker and Sanders.
Throw to first, and back in standing up is Edmonds. Runner at first, 2 down. No score here in the bottom of the first. Walker is the batter right now, 2 for 15 with an RBI so far in this series. Reggie Sanders is on deck. A different batting order here tonight against the righty Oswalt, as Walker and Sanders reversed from what they were against the lefty Pettit. Fastball from Oswalt misses outside, ball 1. Walker hit .289 with 15 home runs during the regular season. Had a total of 4 cortisone shots for the herniated disc in his neck. Seems to be feeling better the last few days than he was earlier in the series. The 1-0, a swing and a chopper down to third, charged by Ensberg, and from the infield grass he'll throw him out to end the inning. No runs, no hits, a man left, no score through 1 here at Busch Stadium. Ensberg steps in, the cleanup hitter for the Astros, a 36-homer man during the regular season, 4 for 17 in the NLCS. The first pitch, a fastball that runs off the outside corner, ball 1.
Danny, an extra day's rest at this time of year doesn't hurt anybody. These guys have been going at it since the middle of February. Yep. Throwing a lot of pitches.
Here's the 1-0 from Mulder, and it's over the inside corner with the knees, 1-1. That was a cutter there from Mulder, and Ensberg checking on if that's as far down and in as Jerry Davis will call a strike. Mulder will sink the fastball away, cut the ball in on the righties, a slider, a splitter, a change. The 1-1, there's another cutter, and it's fouled off back to the on-deck circle, 1-2. We saw mostly sinkers and cutters from Mulder in game 2.
Yeah, and the Astros got to him a little bit about mid-game. He started to elevate the ball. They took it to right center. Ensberg hit 2 balls great out there. One of them, Edmonds made a circus catch on.
Here's the 1-2 pitch, and it's a fastball upstairs. 2 balls and 2 strikes.
The other one, Larry Walker, came in and was sliding. He had trouble with the lights. It is very dark in this ballpark, and talking to the Cardinal people, they said they've had a lot of problems with glare, so they've cut some of the lights out, but it's dark here.
Here's the 2-2 to Ensberg, and a swing and a ground ball to short. A couple of steps to his right. Eckstein has it, and the long throw across the diamond in time to get Ensberg by a couple of steps.
All ground ball outs for Mulder. That's a good sign. He's not a big-time strikeout pitcher, but 4 batters, 4 ground outs.
As Jason Lane steps up and fouls back a first pitch fastball, 0-1.
Yeah, and I think he's got to keep Backy back tomorrow. Again, Roger Clemens has been bothered by hamstring problems ever since early September. He doesn't have the good leg strength right now, and that's affected him somewhat. He hasn't been quite as effective as he was earlier in the year.
Here's the 0-1 to Lane, and it's a fastball in for called strike 2. Lane thought it was a little bit up. Again, it's that cut fastball from Mulder that'll have just a little late break in toward the right-handed batter. That pitch appeared to be just above the belt, and it is called a strike. Now 0-2 on Jason Lane, the Astros right fielder. Mulder rocks right back into the windup, and the pitch, a swing and a miss. He struck him out on 3 pitches.
Well, Mark Mulder is obviously very sharp in the early going. Roy Oswalt served notice in his first inning that he wasn't going to be any slouch either by striking out Albert Pujols.
Now Chris Burke, the left fielder, 5 for 16 with a home run in this series, 248 during the regular season. Phil Garner, with Mulder, a lefty on the mound, has taken Mike Lamb, a left-handed hitter, out of the starting lineup. Moved Berkman into first base, Burke over to left, and Severus back into the starting lineup in center. So a quicker lineup, a better defensive lineup, and a little more speed. The pitch to Burke, and it bounces in, ball 1. 5 up and 5 down so far for Mulder. 4 groundouts, then a strikeout. No score, top of the second. 2 outs, nobody on. They're even with the bag in the corners, backed up the middle for the Cardinals as Burke takes down and in, ball 2.
Danny, we both did some checking going back to September of 2004. These teams have played each other 30 times. 29 of the 30 have been decided by 3 runs or less.
Amazing. Just the opening game of the regular season this year, the exception. The 2-0 is low, ball 3. That includes all 7 games of the NLCS last year and all 5 of the NLCS this year.
Yeah, opening day was 4-run difference this year.
A blowout.
Yeah.
3-0, the count on Burke. And the Mulder pitch, a fastball there for a strike, 3-1. The corner infielders have backed up some now. The 3-1 to Burke. Fastball over the outside corner. And it's a full count now on Chris Burke.
Mulder has stayed out of the middle of the plate in this game. Looked like 1 pitch to Morgan Ensberg. He had a decent swipe at. The rest of them, his hitters have been kind of at his mercy.
Up on their feet they get in St. Louis. The 3-2 there for strike 3 call. A cutter on the inner half. And Mulder with another 3 up, 3 down inning. Reggie Sanders, the left fielder, will lead off the inning for the Cardinals against Astro pitcher Roy Oswalt. The first pitch, a breaking ball, runs way inside. And it is ball 1 to Sanders, hitting .200 so far in the NLCS. 3 for 15 with a homer. He was the hottest hitter in the world until he got hurt in game 2 of this series. He went 1 for 3 against Oswalt back in game 2. The 1-0, and it's a little up and in, ball 2, as they begin to chant Reggie's name here at Busch Stadium.
Game 2, Oswalt in the middle of the ball game threw 3 fastballs right by Reggie Sanders, swung and missed at all of them. Starts out with a couple of breaking balls here. Let's see if he goes to the gas here.
Mark Resselonic waiting on deck. The 2-0. There's a swing and a miss at a fastball, 2-1.
I don't know why he throws him anything else. Yeah. If he can locate that thing right there, that's the exact location. Inner half, just above the waist, just above his hands. He can't catch up with it.
Oswalt not afraid to throw his fastball on the inside part of the plate. Doesn't exclusively work away. The 2-1, swing and a miss at a fastball, pretty much in the same spot, maybe a little bit higher, and it's 2-2 on Sanders. Oswalt this year threw 241 2/3 innings, and he walked only 48, and he struck out 184. He had another great year, winning 20 games. The 2-2 and a fastball fouled back, just above us, off the facing of the upper deck. It was in Soup's vicinity more than mine, and I wanted nothing to do with it.
That one had a little fur on it coming back.
That was coming back pretty good.
Yeah, it's fortunately hit the facade above us, so I didn't have to embarrass myself.
2-2 the count on Sanders. Roy Oswalt, by the way, including the postseason, is the winningest pitcher in baseball the last 2 years. Just looking at the regular season, he is tied with Bartolo Colon for the most wins in baseball the last 2 years. Does not get the acclaim of some of the other starters, but this guy's as good as it gets. No score, bottom of the second. And the 2-2 to Sanders. Swing and a miss at a high fastball. He strikes him out.
Well, that's Reggie's hole. And obviously, pitchers cannot exploit it all the time. Otherwise, Reggie would not be closing in on 300 home runs. The scouting reports, no secrets. But Reggie has had a tremendous postseason. And the division series knocked in 10 to carry the Cardinals through that. And then game 1 against Andy Pettitte got the Cardinals off and going in the first inning with a big 2-run homer.
Here's the second baseman, Mark Resolanek, 4 for 19 with a couple of RBIs in the series. Hit .294 during the season. Pitch from Oswalt, a swing to ground ball down to third. Ensberg to his left, up with it, and plenty of time to fire across to Berkman to get him 2 down. Well, I think both managers probably a bit of a sigh of relief. You never quite know what you're going to get with a starting pitcher. I think Phil Garner is as close to 100% certain as a manager can be that Oswalt's going to go out there and compete for at least 6 or 7 innings. Mulder had some incredible games this year, including 10 shutout innings against the Astros back in May, but he had a couple of clunkers during the season as well.
Yeah, but right now Mark Mulder is firing on all cylinders, and I'm sure the Astros are going to try to play for 1 run if they can get a lead man on.
Yadier Molina steps in and he takes a fastball just inside ball 1. Osmus hesitated on the return throw back to the mound, thought it was a strike. Molina 6 for 18 in the series. No score. We're in the bottom of the second. And the 1-0, there's a fastball in for a strike. It's 1-1.
93, 94, 95, Oswalt, depending on particular release, but he'll come after you.
Not a big guy, 6 foot, 180. The 1-1, a swing and a ground ball to the right side, and a diving stop in the outfield grass by Biggio to Oswalt covering for the out. As Lance Berkman, as he tried to dive to his right to make a play, stumbled and fell down. Top of the third in St. Louis, no score. The Cardinals at Astros. Mark Mulder into the windup. Brad Osmus is the batter. First pitch swinging, and he grounds a base hit through the left side. The leadoff man aboard, the first hit of the night for either team. Brad Osmus at first, no score. Top of the third. Here's Adam Everett, the shortstop. 6 for 20 so far in the NLCS. The pitch from Mulder, and Everett takes just low, ball 1. Roy Oswalt, the pitcher, with the jacket on, is in the on-deck circle. It's about 70 degrees right now, a bit of a breeze, and it's cooling off. It felt like summer here maybe not a St. Louis summer day, but it felt like summer here this afternoon. It was up in the 80s. 1-0 the count on Everett. Mulder checks the runner, and the pitch up and away, ball 2.
Well, I don't know if we've been blessed or what in postseason. I left home September the 16th, haven't been back and have to pack for any kind of climate. I've used the summer clothes about 98% of the time, but Chicago this weekend,
that's right.
Highs of 54, lows of 40s. The summer stuff's going out of into the mothballs.
There you go. The lead at first by Osmus, the 2-0 to Everett. Oh, and a hit and run is on, and Everett chased a ball that was about a foot outside, and he fouled it back. 2-1, but he did what he was supposed to do.
Absolutely. With Mulder and Osmus, not big speed. Molina, the great throwing arm. We talked to Phil Garner before. He said, can you run against this guy? And he said, no. He said, if we get in a favorable count, we may hit and run, but we may have to bunt quite a bit.
Now let's see if they keep it on with a 2-1 count. The Astros only have 1 steal and 1 caught stealing, not running much in this series. Now the 2-1 a swing and a weak ground ball to the right side under the glove of Pujols. Resolanek feeds Mulder, covering, not in time. Safe at first, Everett. Up to second, Osmus.
Well, one of those little squirters off the end of the bat that you couldn't roll out there any better. The Cardinals did everything they could, but because Pujols has to hold against Osmus, he doesn't have much range over there, and the ball got just past him. Resolanek got it. Mulder got to the bag, but with the speed of Everett, beat it out, and that sets up the perfect sacrifice situation now for Roy Oswalt.
Yeah, that's something Oswalt did successfully 7 times during the season. First and second, nobody out for Houston. No score, top of the third. Nunez in at third. Pujols way in at first base. Oswalt settles into the batter's box. Mulder gets his side. Checks the runner at second base, charging Pujols, squaring Oswalt, and he takes high ball one. The throw down to second, and just back in safely is Brad Ausmus. That Yadier Molina's got a cannon behind the plate, and he's not afraid to show it off.
They oftentimes that so much pressure on that runner at second, where you really can get hung out to dry is if that pitcher bunts through a ball. You're thinking about going to third base. You're watching the pitch. If it's in the strike zone and he's bunting at it, you're trying to be aggressive. That's when Ausmus may get hung out to dry if Oswalt bunts through one.
Brad Ausmus also suffered some kind of an injury on the Everett base hit. And a little bit gimpy when he got to second base, was hopping up and down on his right foot a little bit and grimacing. So he may have rolled his left ankle or something like that on his way into second base. 1-0 the count. Again, Pujols is way in on the grass. And Nunez in at third, angling his body so he can see both the plate and the runner at second. A look back by Mulder. And Oswalt squares, gets the bunt down back toward Mulder, looks to second, throws to first in time for the out. 1-4 on the putout. The sacrifice by Oswalt. Second and third, one out. A good bunt by Oswalt, but it looked like Mulder had a little indecision there about which of three bases to throw to.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised. I mean, that wasn't very good thought process unless maybe Molina said something, but Ausmus is a slow runner. Adam Everett's a great runner. I'm sitting there going, why are you looking at second base? If you're going to look anywhere, look to third. They had a shot at Ausmus at third, but they didn't have any shot at Everett at second, so a little bit of indecision there. And right now, the Astros poised to take an early lead here. We'll see how the Cardinals are playing it halfway on the right side. The shortstop's back and the third baseman is in.
An unusual defensive alignment that we've seen Tony La Russa employ earlier in this series. Craig Biggio, the batter. Second and third, one out. No score in the top of the third inning. And the pitch for Mulder. It went back past Biggio's feet to the backstop. A wild pitch. And in to score is Ausmus, and to third goes Everett. I think that ball might have been behind Biggio's feet. It's a wild pitch and a 1-0 lead for the Astros.
Well, that's exactly how the Astros took the lead on Mark Mulder in game number 2, except it was a pass ball that time off the glove of Molina. So any gift horse is pretty much, thankfully accepted by the Houston Astros.
And it did go behind Craig Biggio, just about ankle high behind him, allowing Ausmus to score. Everett to third. Now Eckstein has crept in a little bit further at short. It's 1-0, runner at third, only one out. Now Eckstein charges in, and the 1-0 pitch is a little bit upstairs, ball 2. 2-0 on Craig Biggio. So a base hit, an infield hit, a sacrifice, a wild pitch, and now Biggio can execute a chance for the Astros to get a couple of runs here this inning.
How about a squeeze?
Phil Garner likes it. Maybe not quite as much as Tony La Russa does, but Phil Garner does like that play. Here's the 2-0 and a swing and a line drive, base hit into left field. Jogging home is Everett. It is 2-0 for the Astros here in the third. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio, delivered by the United States Postal Service.
You're listening to the Houston Astros on XM Satellite Radio.
Back at Busch Stadium. Suddenly a quiet Busch Stadium here in St. Louis. Dan Shulman and Dave Campbell with you. 2-0. The Astros lead in the third. Runner at first, one out. The batter is Willie Taveras, who fouls one off right side. A wild pitch by Mulder, bringing home the first run. An RBI single by Biggio, bringing home the second run.
Only the third hit in Biggio's career against Mulder. Now 3 for 20, but he picked a good time to do it. 2-0 count. I figured Garner thought, he's not going to pitch out. He could have squeezed, but he had confidence that Biggio could get the job done.
Way in at third is Nunez, as Taveras does square to bunt, and he takes a breaking ball in for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Danny, in the last 2 years, Craig Biggio has 27 hits in postseason. Remember all those frustrations he and Bagwell had, 97, 98, 99, 01. He had a total of 7 hits in those 4 years. In 2 years, he's had 27 now.
Maddox, Glavine, and Smoltz might have had a little bit to do with that. They faced Atlanta 3 of those previous 4 years. Throw to first and to back in is Biggio.
Yeah, I think Mr. Bonds could tell him about that when he was struggling when he was with the Pirates in 91 and 92. Maddox, Glavine, Smoltz. Maddox wasn't there, but Glavine, Smoltz, and Avery had a lot to do with that.
The Astros get a couple here in the third. Biggio's at first with 1 out. Mulder glances over toward first, and now the 0-2 to Taveras is outside 1-2. The way this series has gone with so many tight, low-scoring games, if this is, say, a Boston-New York game from last year's ALCS, 2-0 in the third doesn't appear to be that much. 2-0 in this series is a pretty good start.
Well, these two teams finished numbers 1 and 2 in the major leagues, lowest ERA.
Here's the 1-2 to Taveras, and he lines one toward right field. Charging is Walker. He makes the catch, and scampering back to first is Biggio. Walker thought about trying to double him off, but Biggio alertly got back in time.
Great positioning by Walker. Taveras only 3 home runs this year. Doesn't have much power. Playing him shallow, and he got a good jump.
Now Lance Berkman with 2 outs. Berkman grounded out back in the first. Just 2 for 13 in his career against Mulder.
Danny, by the way, when Biggio got that hit, that made the Astros 5 for 40 with men in scoring position in this series. They were 4 for 39 with 3 victories. That's pretty amazing.
The Cardinals are just 6 for 35. 2-0 Houston in the third, and the first pitch to Berkman way outside, ball 1. So a base hit by Brad Ausmus to begin the inning, then an infield hit for Adam Everett, advancing Ausmus to second. Roy Oswalt bunted them to third, or bunted the runners to second and third. Then a wild pitch uncorked by Mulder brought home the first run. Biggio singled home the second run. The 1-0 and a swing and a ground ball. A diving stop by Eckstein, and from his knees he'll throw to second to force Biggio and end the inning. A great play by David Eckstein, diving to his left. 2-0 Astros. Abraham Nunez leads off the third for the Cardinals and swings through a first pitch fastball from Roy Oswalt, who now has a 2-run cushion. It'll be Nunez, Mulder, and David Eckstein here in the third for St. Louis. The 0-1 and a breaking ball grounded out to short. Charging Everett. 2-hopper. He'll play it on to first in plenty of time to get Nunez 1 down. Fans, log on to ESPNradio.com to ask Dave Campbell your Equifax question of the game. All you have to do is click the Equifax question of the game link and submit your question. If your question is answered on the air, you'll receive an ESPN Radio gift pack. Here is Mark Mulder. Hit 145 during the regular season. The lefty bats from the left side, and the pitch from Oswalt, a fastball up and in, ball 1.
Mulder from South Holland, Illinois. You have to kind of figure he was probably a White Sox fan growing up. I don't know that for certain, but it's south of the city, so he would love to get back and play the Sox, I'm sure.
1-0, a little bit down and away, ball 2, and now Ausmus will stand up and turn to speak to Jerry Davis. It all appears pretty cordial right now, but Ausmus thought that pitch had a bit of the strike zone, and no doubt Oswalt agreed with him. As now Oswalt collects himself for a moment off the back of the mound, and now back up on the rubber and immediately ready to go. The 2-0, a swing and a miss, 2-1. Either Oswalt is not shaking off Ausmus at all, or Ausmus is just going through the signs so quickly that Oswalt hardly has to wait, because I mean Oswalt getting the ball and he is right back into the windup. The 2-1 is fouled back, 2-2.
Well, there's who was it? Lefty Grove once said one time, he said, they asked him why he worked so fast. He said, I don't want to give those guys a chance to think.
Here's the 2-2 and a swing and a chopper at the plate, foul, going back toward the screen. A 2-run top of the third for the Houston Astros, trying to lock it up tonight and get on to the World Series. The Cardinals try to force Game 7 tomorrow night. And the scheduled pitchers, if there is a Game 7, Roger Clemens for the Astros and Matt Morris for the Cardinals. Oswalt right back into the windup. The 2-2 fastball, strike 3 called at the knees. Mulder is gone, 2 down.
Well, in Game 2, Oswalt faced 3 crisis situations. First inning, 2 men out, he got Reggie Sanders. In the 5th, he got Jim Edmonds. In the 7th, he got Jim Edmonds, both times with 2 men on, both times with Albert Pujols on deck. So he was equal to that task. The other thing you like to do as a pitcher, when your team goes out and gets you a couple of runs, you want to put an immediate 0 up. He's 2/3 of the way there.
David Eckstein, the batter, with 2 outs and nobody on. Once through the order. No hits for the Cardinals. The only base runner, but an Edmonds walk in the first as Eckstein looks at the fastball for a strike. Oswalt is a rare combination of great stuff and equally great competitiveness. Here's the 0-1, and it's inside, a ball and a strike. There are others like him, but not all that many with that deadly a combination. And he's in his prime, too. This is a 28-year-old guy. You're seeing one of the best in baseball at what figures to be just about the peak of his game. Here's the 1-1, and it hit Eckstein in the left elbow, and Eckstein will race down to first. A fastball that ran in on him, but David Eckstein knows how to get on base. And I'm not saying he didn't get out of the way, but he might not have gotten out of the way quite as quickly as he could have, because he'll try to get on base any way he can.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is they like to pitch Eckstein in because he doesn't have enough strength to get around on pitches in there, but you also run the risk of letting him get on base. I think you got to keep the ball away from him, make him earn his way on.
And another look at it, a fastball that ran in, and he did try to back away from that 95-mile-an-hour fastball, but Eckstein gets hit about as much as anybody in baseball. He just wants to get on base any way he can. Here's Jim Edmonds, throw to first, and diving back in is Eckstein.
Again, that's one of those little subtle things in this series. With Pujols on deck, Eckstein and Edmonds have been on base 18 times. They only have 8 hits between them, but 10 other times they've reached 8 walks and 2 hit by pitch.
The pitch to Edmonds over the outside corner for a called strike. It's 0-1. 2-0 Houston leads. Bottom of the 3rd inning. A wild pitch by Mulder and an RBI single by Biggio, scoring the 2 Astro runs in the top half of this inning. Edmonds waving the bat back and forth. Pujols warming up in the on-deck circle. Oswalt sets, and the 0-1 is inside. A ball and a strike. Edmonds does not step out of the box between pitches, just moves his right foot back a couple of feet and then brings it right back up where it was, kind of shifting his weight back and forth between his front leg and his back leg while he waits for Oswalt to get the sign. The lead at first by Eckstein, and the 1-1 to Edmonds, a swing and a miss, and it is 1-2.
Well, Jim Edmonds, 331 lifetime homers, 998 RBIs, so obviously no slouch. He hasn't hit a long ball in this series, but last year on Game 6, he was the hero, hitting a 2-run homer in the bottom of the 12th against Dan Maselli to send it to that decisive Game 7.
2 outs, Eckstein at first. Oswalt straightens up with a sign. Runner not going, and the 1-2 is fouled back by Edmonds. Off the facing of the luxury boxes to our left. Jerry Davis asking for some new baseballs as he just threw one out to Roy Oswalt. Well off the line at third is Ensberg, and Everett is playing way up the middle, shading over toward the bag. Biggio playing into the hole on the right side. And, of course, Berkman is holding on Eckstein at first. 1-2 the count on Edmonds. Oswalt gets his sign from Ausmus. And the pitch, a fastball just inside. 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Danny, as we mentioned in Game 2, Oswalt got Edmonds out twice in critical situations. This is yet another one. You don't want Albert Pujols coming up in this inning with 2 men on base. So he's got to get Edmonds again. He got him in the 5th and 7th innings of Game 2.
Eckstein a short lead over at first. Oswalt now with the man on, taking a little bit longer to gather in the sign from Ausmus. The 2-2, and it just missed down and away. Full count. Now the runner is on the move. And now if Oswalt can't throw a strike, Pujols will come up this inning. Lance Berkman alerting Oswalt to the fact that he's now going to play behind the runner. And now the crowd is re-energized here at Busch Stadium, sensing an opportunity. Pujols looking as relaxed as ever in the on-deck circle. Edmonds again waving the bat back and forth as Oswalt looks into Ausmus. Now the righty has his sign. There goes Eckstein in the 3-2. Swung on and popped up near first base. Berkman behind the bag is in fair territory, and he'll make the catch to end the inning. In the grand scheme of things, that may turn out to be a huge out for Roy Oswalt. The Astros lead the Cardinals 2-0, top of the 4th, as Morgan Ensberg takes a slow curve in for a strike from Mark Mulder. The Astros getting both of their runs in the 3rd inning. And a Mulder wild pitch led to one of the runs. Ensberg grounded out his first time up. Here's the 0-1, and a fastball misses just outside. A ball and a strike. It'll be Ensberg, Jason Lane, and Chris Burke here in the 4th inning for Houston. Roy Oswalt, very sharp so far, has not allowed a hit through the first 3 innings. Here's the 1-1 to Ensberg, and it's just below the knees. Ball 2.
Danny, one of those statistical oddities. The Cardinals 7 times in their postseason career have been down 3 games to 2 and have won 6 out of 7. Yet the rest of baseball is only 20 and 54 in that stat.
Here's the 2-1, and it missed inside, ball 3. That is pretty remarkable, although the Astros to a man still said, hey, they'd rather be up 3-2 than down 3-2, and you can't blame them.
On the other side, the Cardinals have never come back from down 3-1,
right,
which they were.
3 balls and a strike on Ensberg leading off the 4th. And the pitch, a swing and a fly ball into right field. Coming in 4 or 5 steps, Larry Walker. He's there. He's got it. 1 down.
Well, Ensberg running his tail off. Chances of Larry Walker dropping a ball probably about 1 in 5,000, but he was hustling all the way.
On the other side of the Astros in their franchise history, and the Houston players will say, well, that doesn't pertain to them, although many of them have been here for part of it. The Astros in potential clinching games in the league championship series are 0 for 5 in franchise history. Here's Jason Lane. He takes low, ball 1. 2 of those in 1980 against the Phillies. 2 of those in this ballpark last year. And then, of course, Game 5 in Houston on Monday night. The Astros have never been to the World Series, although they've been close on a couple of occasions. Here's the 1-0, and a swing and a pop-up right side in foul territory. Back out of play. It's 1-1. And in 3 of those 5 games, they had leads of at least 2 runs in the 8th inning or later. So for longtime Astro fans, we're talking about particularly excruciating losses. And Monday night certainly fit into that category. The party was on at Minute Maid Park until Albert Pujols hit the home run. The 1-1 to Lane, and a swing and a fly ball, well hit left field. Forget it. Jason Lane has cranked one way up into the bleachers and left, and it is 3-0 for the Astros.
That was a monster shot. That left about the same speed as the one Pujols hit down in Houston.
Jason Lane, a 26-homer guy during the regular season, hits his 2nd of the series, and it is 3-0 Houston here in the 4th inning. And they are all up off their seats in the third base dugout, high-fiving Jason Lane as he gets back down in amongst his teammates. Here's Chris Burke. Nunez in at third as Burke shows bunt, and he takes down and in. Ball 1. It bounces away from the catcher.
Danny, there's been 14 expansion teams in Major League Baseball. There were 16 originals. I guess they were expansion teams at one time. But of the 14, 6 of them still haven't been to the World Series.
The 1-0 is swung on, hit out of play right side.
That would be the Astros, the Rockies, and the Expos/Nationals, the Devil Rays, Texas Rangers, and the Mariners. Those would be the 6 that haven't been there. Mets have been there 4 times, 2-2. Florida 2-0. Arizona 1-0, and San Diego 0-2 in the NL.
1-1 down and away, ball 2.
American League, Kansas City 1-1. Toronto 2-0. The Angels 1-0, and Milwaukee. The Brewers, they came from Seattle, which was an expansion team in 1969. They're 0-1.
The 2-1. Burke hits a fly ball to left field, fairly deep but playable in left center for Reggie Sanders for out number 2 as Jason Marquis starts throwing in the Cardinal bullpen. He is the designated long man tonight, a starter during the season, in the bullpen for the postseason, and he's the guy who's going to come on if Mark Mulder continues to give up runs. Brad Ausmus will be the batter with 2 outs and nobody on. A home run this inning by Jason Lane. It is 3-0 Houston. Ausmus singled and scored last inning. The pitch for Mulder, and a swing and a line drive, base hit into right field. So Ausmus is 2 for 2, and the Astros continue to swing the bats well against Mark Mulder.
Well, Brad Ausmus is the guy that kind of broke the spell of Mulder. First 2 innings, he looked invincible, but Ausmus has had good numbers against him. He's now 9 for 21. I believe that's over 400. You're the math wizard.
429.
Thank you. So Ausmus swinging the bat very well against Mulder. Also had a key double in Game 2 against him.
Here's Adam Everett, had an infield hit and scored last inning. Ausmus at first, 2 down. Ausmus being held by Pujols. Marquis continuing to warm in the pen. Mulder sets. Eyes the runner at first, and the first pitch to Everett, a breaking ball outside. Ball 1. Everett will step out and look down to Doug Mansolino, his third base coach. The Astros, incidentally, did check out of their hotel tonight. Their bags are packed and they're ready to go, as the song says. And if they lose tonight, presumably they'll check back in again. It's a different strategy than they used last year. The 1-0, a swing and a high fly ball to left field. Sanders drifting back, but he's got room and will make the grab.
When Albert was struggling in Game 5, Hal McRae, the batting coach of the Cardinals, told him, just relax, you'll have 2 more at-bats. He was wrong. He had 3 more at-bats, and the third one was the crusher for the Astros.
Oswalt looking into Ausmus. Pujols waits. And now the righty, for one of the few times tonight, unable to get the sign quickly, so Albert steps out. 3 runs, 5 hits, no errors for the Astros. 0 runs, 0 hits so far for the Cardinals as Oswalt throws a pitch in the dirt that bounces away behind Pujols, and it's ball 1, and Albert will go over and tap it with his bat back toward the screen.
Well, Phil Garner knows he's going to have to face Albert a minimum of 4 times. He'd rather have him hitting with nobody on base.
Here's the 1-0, and a fastball swung on and fouled off right side, a 1-1.
I think he'd probably prefer 2 outs and nobody on base, but still nobody on base can limit the damage.
Oswalt nods in agreement with Osmus, and the 1-1 pitch, a fastball swung on and fouled back. Near us again, 1-2.
You were fairly courageous.
Fairly courageous.
Fairly courageous. You didn't duck under the seat anyway.
You couldn't hear the warbling in my voice as that ball was getting close. That one had some fur on it, as you say.
Yeah.
I don't want anything to do with a Pujols foul ball. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. Albert leading off the 4th, and the pitch from Oswalt, a slider and a check swing by Pujols. The pitch is down low, 2 balls, 2 strikes.
Well, when a guy's throwing 94 or 95 and they come kind of straight back, they are going to be smoking this thing. They're going to have contrails on them when they're heading back your way.
I hope Peter Gammons knows that if I move to the side to avoid one, he better get ready for a play. Sitting in our booth with us again here tonight, the 2-2, and it's a fastball inside. Now a full count on Pujols.
Yeah, he's got his glove around his waist. He's going to take a little time to get that off. So.
Larry Walker waiting on deck. Reggie Sanders behind him as the Cardinals try to give their fans some reason to believe here by getting something started in the 4th inning. The 3-2 and a swing and a ground ball to short. 3-hopper right at Adam Everett and on to first in time to get Pujols. 1 down and 1 less time, thinks Phil Garner, that he might have to see Albert Pujols the rest of the night.
Yeah, I mean, Pujols, after they've had 2 base runners, that guarantees Pujols gets up that 4th time in the 9th inning at the very least. But what Phil's thinking is, I don't want him to get up 5 times in this game.
Larry Walker, the batter, grounded out on a check swing bouncer to third, his first time up. And the pitch outside, ball 1. Some stories in both papers and papers in both towns after Game 5 about how Walker, who'd been lifted in a double switch in the 8th inning, thought his career was over. It is generally conceded that he is going to retire at the end of this season. The 1-0, a slow curve in for a strike, and it's 1-1. And he was starting to get taps on the knee and the knowing glance from some of his teammates for a career well done, and lo and behold, he's got another chance. The 1-1 and a swing and a ground ball to third again. Big hop for Ensberg. On to Berkman in plenty of time. Walker retired, 2 down. So still now through 3 2/3, Roy Oswalt has not given up a hit. And in fact, nothing has gotten out of the infield here tonight.
Yeah, the only thing it resembled a possible hit was that little roller Molina hit that Berkman took the dive for, but Biggio went over and got it. And Oswalt covered first base against the slow-footed Molina.
Here's Reggie Sanders with 2 outs, nobody on. 3-0 Houston as Sanders fouls off a fastball over on the right side, and it's 0-1. Sanders now 3 for 16 in this series, and he struck out in the 2nd inning. Grzelcyk on deck should the inning continue. A capacity crowd here in St. Louis. Almost everybody dressed in red, but very quiet right now as Sanders pops another fastball back out of play above us. And it is 0-2 as Roy Oswalt has the same game plan against Sanders that you were thinking. Just keep pounding him with those fastballs.
Well, I mean, if you speed up his bat, you do him a favor. You can go real hard or real soft. It's that in-between pitch. That slider that hangs is the one that Reggie bangs.
Sanders steps out for a moment, now right back in. 0-2 the count. 2 down, nobody on. Oswalt into the windup, and he missed outside with a slider. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
It might have been one of those Missouri sliders. Show me.
That one too far off to tempt Sanders. Let's see if they go back to the up and in fastball, which has been so successful against Sanders in this series from Oswalt. The 1-2, there it is. Up and in fastball, swung on and missed. And the inning is over. 4 no-hit innings for Oswalt and a 3-0 lead for the Houston Astros. Oswalt got a bunt down for a sacrifice his first time up. Nunez a step behind the bag at third as the first pitch from Mulder misses outside, ball 1. As we begin the top of the 5th, no sign of Jason Marquis throwing. He was throwing when Mulder gave up the home run, or after he gave up the home run in the 4th. The 1-0 is inside of ball 2. Now Molina is going to jog to the mound.
Game 2, Roy Oswalt hit a laser to right field on 1 hop to Larry Walker. And in the years I broadcast the Rockies, Walker threw out about 5 guys at first base. I asked him tonight, I said, "Do you ever talk to Pujols about covering first?" He goes, "Yep." That was all he said.
Apparently hasn't gotten the message through, because he had a chance on that play. The 2-0 to Oswalt, and it's down and away, ball 3. And I can guarantee you, if he walks Oswalt, Marquis going to start throwing again. And there's Tony La Russa on the phone as we speak. The 3-0 is there for a strike. 3-1. Marquis is getting up for the second time, it looks like. 3-0 Houston, top of the 5th. And the 3-1 to Oswalt on the outside corner at the knees, full count.
Phil Garner probably torn a little bit. He saw when Roger Clemens got on base the other day how that cost him effectiveness on the mound. Oswalt, better condition, doesn't have injuries, but I think Phil would say, well, go ahead and hit a home run, jog around the bases.
Here's the 3-2, and a swing and a fly ball to right field, and Walker's going back. He will reach up over his head and make the catch, backpedaling near the edge of the warning track. Oswalt gave it a bit of a ride, but he's retired for the first out, and activity does resume in the Cardinal pen, but I don't think it's Marquis. I think somebody else has gotten up and started to throw. We'll get the binoculars out, try to figure out who it is as quickly as possible.
Could be Brad Thompson. I don't think it's Cal Eldred. Doesn't look like his delivery. So if it's not Marquis, I got to believe it's Thompson.
And it is. You're right. Number 48, Brad Thompson, is up in the Cardinal pen. Interesting. After Marquis was up last inning. Here's Craig Biggio. 1 for 2 on the night, an RBI single, his last time up. The pitch, and it's in over the inside corner for a called strike. Boy, this is a crowd in need of a reason to get excited. They are pretty subdued right now. The 0-1 and a curveball that Biggio reaches for, and it's a lazy fly ball into shallow left for Reggie Sanders, 2 down. Get a shot of Roy Oswalt back in the dugout after hitting his fly ball, getting the jacket back on, staying warm, resting up before he heads back out to the mound. Willie Taveras will be the batter now for the Astros. He's 0 for 2, a ground out and a fly ball. His presence at the plate draws Nunez way in on the grass. Taveras loves to try to bunt for a base hit. Thompson continuing to throw in the pen for the Cardinals. Pitch for Mulder down and in, ball 1. Mulder's spot, by the way, is due up 4th in the bottom of the 5th inning.
Yep. Just wonder how long Tony can wait. If they have something going, he's probably going to have to hit for him.
Here's the 1-0, and Taveras shows bunt, and he takes a cutter inside. 2 balls and no strikes.
Interestingly, Albert Pujols, the scouting report on Taveras is, he put 66 bunts in play this year. Almost all of them went to third base. Very rarely bunts the other way.
So Pujols playing deeper than Nunez. The 2-0 and a swing and a ground ball up the middle and past the diving Eckstein into left center field. And Taveras is aboard with a base hit.
Well, that time the Cardinal defense got burned. Because the third baseman plays in so far against Taveras, Eckstein cheats a little bit to the hole to help cover that portion of the diamond. But that time, Taveras hit a rather routine ground ball up the middle, but because of positioning to protect that third base hole, Eckstein couldn't get there.
And with the Astros already leading 3-0 here in the 5th inning, they get a chance to get Lance Berkman up there with a man on. There are 2 outs. Berkman is 0 for 2 on groundouts tonight, hitting .316 in the series, 6 for 19. Taveras with great speed, 34 steals during the season. The pitch for Mulder, and it's off the glove of Molina to the backstop, and Taveras will go to second. Molina had to reach up and on his right, his backhand side, and it just went off the tip of his glove to the backstop. Dave Duncan now will jog to the mound as we wait for the scoring.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a case where you might pitch around Berkman, because batting right-handed, Lance doesn't have very good numbers against Mark Mulder. Morgan Ensberg not exactly killing him, but better than Berkman. But I think Duncan just wanted to settle Mulder down right here.
Wild pitch is the call. Really could have gone the other way as well. Runner at second, 2 down, 3-0 Houston. Mulder, after a couple of great innings to start the game, not very effective at all in the 3rd, 4th, or now here in the 5th. As Thompson continues to throw, it's 3-0 Houston.
Well, you have a feeling if Berkman reaches base, that may be it for Mulder. You may see him in for Ensberg. Maybe that's why he's warming. He may be the out-of-the-inning guy, Brad Thompson.
The 1-0, and it's taken low. Ball 2, 2-0 on Berkman.
They may want to get some length out of Marquis, but Brad Thompson could be the out of the inning guy because the pitcher spot would hit fourth in the bottom half of the fifth inning.
Any hit to the outfield undoubtedly would score Taveras here with his speed. The 2-0 to Berkman, and it missed outside, ball 3.
Well, if you're Phil Garner, you got that green light flashing right here. I mean, you got your number 3 hitter up there. Even though he doesn't hit as well from this side, you got to let him have a poke at this.
Mulder has his sign from Molina. A look back at the runner. And the 3-0, and it's just outside, ball 4. He walked Berkman. So first and second 2 outs. Here comes Ensberg to the plate, and we'll see if Tony La Russa is going to make a move.
Well, Ensberg's numbers against Mulder are 4 for 17, and here comes Tony.
So Mulder will not get out of the 5th inning. And for the 3rd time in his career, will start a potential clincher or an elimination game without winning it. Thompson, the right-hander, comes set. A look back at Taveras out at second base. And the pitch to Ensberg. A swing and a ground ball pulled just foul down the left field line. Inches foul. Otherwise, the Astros would have easily scored a run, maybe more than that.
Yeah, Danny, Morgan Ensberg was running to first base and kind of threw both hands around the helmet like he thought maybe that ball went over the base fair. And you know what? We get a replay look, and you might be able to make a pretty good case for Ensberg.
Wally Bell, the third base umpire, thought it was foul. I tend to agree with you. 0-1 the count. 3-0 Houston. 2 on, 2 out in the 5th. And the 0-1 from Thompson, and a breaking ball right over the heart of the plate is popped way up in the air into shallow center. It'll be Eckstein taking charge and making the catch to end the inning. So maybe the Cardinals get a break. No runs, a hit, 2 men left on. Houston 3, St. Louis nothing. Here to game 6, a win for the Astros, and they are off to the World Series for the first time in franchise history. Mark Resalanek leads off the 5th against Roy Oswalt, takes a knee-high fastball for a strike. Oswalt threw 4, no hits, 1 walk, 1 hit batter, 4 strikeouts. Nothing has gone to the outfield so far tonight. Resalanek grounding out his first time up. The 0-1, and a fastball almost hit him, and it did hit him. It ran in on him. Resalanek took some time to get out of the box. That ball hit him in the left forearm. The way he did not react initially, I thought it might have been a foul ball off the knob of the bat perhaps, but Resalanek walking down toward first, a little bit shaken up as that fastball ran in and hit him on the left arm. Maybe up near the wrist.
Now, one play that may come back to haunt was that ball that Morgan Ensberg hit. We got a chance to see it 2 or 3 times on replay, and it looked like a fair ball. That cost the Astros a minimum of 1 run.
Leadoff man aboard for the Cardinals in the bottom of the 5th. Resalanek is okay as he goes down to first. And the pitch to Yadier Molina is a slider outside, ball 1. Molina grounding out his first time up. Now the crowd with the leadoff man aboard, a little bit more enthused here on a nice night in St. Louis. By the way, threat of some bad weather tomorrow if there is a game 7. The 1-0 fastball in for a strike, 1-1.
Bite your tongue, boy.
I know. I'm sorry. Don't shoot the messenger. 3-0 Astros, bottom of the 5th. I would expect with Nunez on deck in the pitcher spot that we will see a pinch hitter for Brad Thompson for the Cardinals. Pitch with a hit and run on is fouled off over the first base dugout, still bouncing around there. And it is 1-2 now on Molina.
Well, give Tony La Russa credit. He's not going to sit there and just wait for something to happen. Molina, double play candidate, and also a good contact hitter, so he put the hit and run on down 3-0. That's kind of Mike Scioscia type baseball.
Looks like Marquis getting up to throw again. 1-2 the count on Molina. Resalanek at first, being held by Berkman. The pitch from Oswalt, a swing and a little soft liner, drops into shallow right, a base hit. Up to second goes Resalanek, and it's 2 on nobody out for the Cardinals.
Well, let's see how Tony plays it here. He's down 3, but he may want to see if he can get back in the ball game. He may let Nunez go. I know you generally don't bunt, but he may.
John Rodriguez has materialized in the on-deck circle for Brad Thompson. Marquis continuing to throw. Nunez has grounded out tonight. He is 4 for 11 in the NLCS. He's a switch hitter batting from the left side. The third baseman who was injured in Game 3, missed Game 4 and Game 5. Practiced yesterday on the workout day and pronounced himself ready to go. The pitch from Oswalt, a swing and a miss at a high fastball, and no way in the world is Abraham Nunez catching up to that heat up there.
4 for 28 lifetime against Oswalt. That's a 143 average.
Probably because of chasing pitches like that all the time. Nunez a number of years with Pittsburgh, so would have seen Oswalt a lot. 0-1. And the pitch missed just inside, a ball and a strike. Even with the bag at third, Ensberg. Grzelcyk at second, and Molina at first. Berkman even with the bag at first. Taveras, as we have seen on a number of occasions, playing a shallow center field, and he's over toward left center, playing Nunez the other way. A look back by Oswalt on the 1-1, a swing and a foul back, and it's 1-2. So the Cardinals finally have their first hit of the night on a little bloop single and a shallow right off the bat of Yadier Molina.
Well, I know Oswalt loves the pitch in, but he just can't keep hitting guys that are kind of outmen for him, Eckstein and Grzelcyk. That's a major mistake, especially leading off an inning with a 3-run lead.
3-0 Astros, 2 on, nobody out. Oswalt checks the runner at second, and the 1-2, a swing and a foul ball down the left field line in the seats. Another belt-high fastball, maybe a little bit above. Nunez having to protect and just fought it off to the left side.
Yeah, he's got to go ahead and elevate again and see if Nunez will chase that cap-high fastball.
Nunez steps out for a moment. The crowd now is noisy, as they have been probably since Pujols came up for the first time tonight. Oswalt. The pitch, and a curveball grounded back to the mound, dropped by Oswalt. The throw to second, and safe at second as it pulls Everett off the bag. Now the out is signaled. Now the out is signaled after the fact by Greg Gibson out at second. Initially waving safe, then he changed it to out. And here comes Jose Oquendo, and here comes Tony La Russa, as Oswalt got a one-hopper back to him, knocked it down, picked it up, and threw to second base. And Everett, after he left the bag to come up with the throw, tried to swipe his glove at the runner. And I don't know if Gibson is saying he was out because his foot was still on the bag, or he was out because he swiped him with the glove after he left the bag. But either way, he called him out, and the end result is first and third, 1 out.
Well, replay, super slow motion, shows his foot off the bag.
Yep.
So once again, the umpire is in the eye of the storm. Last half inning, Wally Bell appeared to miss a call at third base on a ball hit by Morgan Ensberg. And now it appears Greg Gibson has missed one at second base. La Russa leaves, and Rodriguez comes to the plate.
Well, unless my eyes are playing tricks on me, Soup, he signaled safe initially and then out. So I've got to believe that he called him out on the swipe attempt with the glove after his foot came off the bag. And in my opinion, as valiant an effort as Everett made, I don't think he got him.
No, he was safe at second base.
Yeah. But there's an out call out there, so Nunez is at first. Grzelcyk is at third, 1 down. The pinch hitter, John Rodriguez, stepping in.
Now, that was kind of a crazy play. It was a one-hopper right back at Oswalt. Double play ball, but it knocked him down. The ball got away from him. Then he rushed to throw to second base. He should have just taken his time because he wasn't going to get a double play at that point. He panicked a little bit and got away with it right there.
Probably had an easier play at third, or certainly at first, if he wanted to take a short out. Now Rodriguez takes up and away with a fastball, ball 1. J-Rod, as they call him here, his impact on this series, as folks will remember, he came up as the pinch hitter when Jim Edmonds was ejected down at Houston with a full count on him and hit a 430 fly ball out up onto the hill in center, caught by Willie Taveras. Now the 1-0, a check swing, and Rodriguez takes up and away, ball 2.
Kusky, David Eckstein on deck. Rodriguez cold off the bench. It seems though Oswalt might have a better chance of overpowering him.
Even with a call that appeared to go against him, and to be fair, one appeared to go against the Astros last half inning, so they're even right now in that department. But the Cardinals with something brewing. The 2-0, a swing and a miss by Rodriguez. It's 2-1. Oswalt takes off the cap for a moment and mops his brow. Now looks right back into Osmus. At third, Mark Grzelcyk. At first, Abraham Nunez on the fielder's choice. The Astros middle infielders a double play depth. Ensberg deep behind the bag at third. Berkman holding on the runner at first. 2-1 the count, and a step up by Oswalt now to look the runners back. The move that is universally despised. There's a fan in the first row right behind the plate who actually gets up out of his seat and cups his hands around his mouth to boo Oswalt for that move, as if he's committed some kind of a felony. Everybody does it, guy in red. The 2-1 is swung on and fouled back, 2-2.
Well, Oswalt, when he's had his back against the wall, has gone to his fastball in this game. He's dropped a few hooks in, but whenever he's been in trouble, he's had enough fastball to get by.
The Astros 3, the Cardinals nothing. Mark Mulder out of this game after 4 2/3, giving up 3 earned runs on 6 hits. The Cardinals did not have a hit off Oswalt until this inning. The hit batsman hitting Grzelcyk really started the trouble this inning. The 2-2 and a high fastball runs the count full. Let's see if Tony La Russa starts the runner from first. They are now on their feet, all of them, here at Busch Stadium, still believing. Still with some outs to play with. Only the 5th inning, down by 3. First and third one out. Rodriguez the batter. Eckstein on deck. 3-2 the count. Rodriguez shuffling his weight back and forth as Oswalt lobs the throw to first, incurring the wrath of the crowd again.
Well, Rodriguez called up this year when Reggie Sanders broke his leg, and he made an immediate impact for the Cardinals. He's got some pop in the bat, no question about it.
Oswalt gathers in the sign from Osmus. Runner doesn't go, and the 3-2 swung on and fouled back. He went after him with a high fastball, and Rodriguez got a piece.
Yeah, it was ball 4, but it was close enough that he wanted to take a shot at it.
3 runs, 6 hits, no errors for the Astros. No runs, 1 hit. No errors for the Cardinals, but 2 on with 1 out in the bottom of the 5th. Everybody standing at Busch Stadium, perhaps in its final night of baseball here. This is the 40th and final season for the St. Louis Cardinals at Busch Stadium. The new Busch Stadium, which is right beyond the right field wall of this one, will be open for business next year. Again, Oswalt bent at the waist, looking into Osmus, and now Rodriguez asks for and is granted time. Well, if the Astros lose, they'll be talking about that Wally Bell call at third base. If the Cardinals lose, they'll be talking about that Greg Gibson call at second base. 3-2 the count. Now the pitch from Oswalt, and a swing and a high fly ball to center field. Should be deep enough. Taveras now coming in 3 or 4 steps. Grzelcyk will tag. The throw is cut off near the mound by Berkman. And scoring standing up is Grzelcyk. Staying at first, Nunez. A sac fly for Rodriguez, and it's 3-1.
Good job by Taveras to keep the ball low enough that Berkman could cut it off. You don't figure David Eckstein is going to get an extra base hit unless Oswalt hangs a curveball inside. So that keeps Nunez at first base, where it's probably going to take 2 hits to score Nunez.
Jim Hickey, the pitching coach, is on his way out to the mound for the Astros, and that gives us a chance to extend a very special welcome tonight to our U.S. servicemen and women stationed around the world and on ships at sea listening to this game on the American Forces Radio Network. Very glad you're along with us. And a reminder, if there's a Game 7 tomorrow night, we'll have it for you right here on ESPN Radio. And the World Series comes your way beginning Saturday night at 8 o'clock Eastern Time from U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago.
Good job by Jim Hickey to come out right now. He's just giving a little bit of a blow to Roy Oswalt. I don't think a big strategy session here. He just knows Oswalt expended a lot of energy working on Nunez and John Rodriguez with men on base. So he's just giving him a little bit of a breather before he goes after Eckstein.
Eckstein grounded out in the first, was hit by a pitch on the left elbow in the third. Abraham Nunez is the runner at first, now 2 down, and the Cardinals have cashed in a run here to trail 3-1 in the bottom of the 5th. Oswalt sets and deals, and Eckstein takes up and away ball 1. Jim Edmonds on deck should the inning continue. Want to know the count is Eckstein choking up on the bat, waves it back and forth, waiting for Oswalt. And the 1-0, a swing and a line drive hit down the left field line, but foul. Hooked it about 4 feet to the left of the line. Roy Oswalt now at 75 pitches through 4 2/3. He is a horse. 240 innings on the season. Much healthier now than he was a year ago at this time, and on an extra day's rest coming into this start tonight.
Well, coming into the 5th inning, it looked like maybe he might be able to milk 8 out of this and then turn it over to Lidge. think we're thinking more about Chad Quall's time now before this one's over.
1-1 the count. The pitch to Eckstein. A swing and a fly ball hit down the right field line. Back out of play. 1-2.
Qualls has been so effective in this series so far. 11 batters faced, 11 batters retired. But Oswalt not quite as sharp this inning as he's been. And again, the thing that's hurt him more than anything is 2 hit batters.
This is where Eckstein really gets tough now with 2 strikes on him relative to other hitters. This was the counter when he singled off Lidge in Game 5. The 1-2, he fouls one off into that first base dugout, scattering his teammates.
Well, David Eckstein this year swung and missed 4.9% of the time he took swings. That's the toughest guy to swing and miss in Major League Baseball. Talking to some of our brethren at Fox, and one of them called him a pest and got criticized for it by a number of fans. He's a pest if he's on the other team. If he's on your team, he is beloved.
Throw to first. I asked Eckstein during the season, I said, a lot of people refer to you as an overachiever then.
Yeah.
And I said, it's intended as a compliment when people say it. Do you take it that way, or do you consider it an insult? But he's a great guy and a guy who has made the most out of his abilities. He swings and fouls one back.
And what he's doing right now, even if he makes out, he's taking something out of Oswalt.
Yeah.
Every at-bat he has is a major battle, and he just is not going to go quietly into the night.
One of my favorite lines was one he told me when he was an Angel in 2002. He said, my whole offensive game plan is see one more pitch. Just get to the next pitch time and time again. 3-1 the Astros lead, bottom of the 5th, runner at first, 2 down, and time is called.
I told David in 2002, you play the game the way I knew how to play the game, but I couldn't execute like you. I couldn't. You know, it's just one of those things.
The 1-2 again, and it's strike 3 called at the knees to end the inning. 5th strikeout of the night for Oswalt, but the Cardinals get a run. And through 5, it's the Astros 3 and St. Louis 1. Jason Lane leads it off for Houston, and Marquis pumps in a fastball for a strike. Lane struck out and homered against Mark Mulder. After Lane, it'll be Chris Burke and Brad Ausmus. It is 3-1 Houston. The 0-1 and a fastball there for a strike. 0-2. The run, well, the error that led to the unearned run, that led to the loss, the error was committed by Marquis on a Biggio bunt off on the first base side of the mound that Marquis overran. Couldn't come up with it. Here's the 0-2 and a swing and a ground ball weakly hit out to short. Eckstein has it, and the throw to first in time. 1 down. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio, delivered by the United States Postal Service.
You're listening to the Houston Astros on XM Satellite Radio.
Back in St. Louis, a 3-1 lead for Houston. Top of the 6th, 1 out, nobody on. Chris Burke, the left fielder, looks at a knee-high fastball from Marquis. And it's 0-1. This is why, one of the reasons why, Tony La Russa put Marquis in the pen this series, reasoning he could use him often. And this is his 3rd appearance already. 2nd appearance in a key spot. The 0-1, and Burke takes a pitch inside, a ball and a strike.
Yeah, I mean, Tony reasoning that Jeff Suppan, more of a starter, probably not equipped. He's been a starter all of his career, not equipped to go to that bullpen role. Marquis younger and stronger.
Burke 0 for 2 on the night, a strikeout and a fly ball. The 1-1 from Marquis, and a breaking ball grounded between third and short into left field, a base hit. So Burke has his first hit of the night and his 6th hit of the series. A 1-out single here in the 6th inning, and that'll bring up Brad Ausmus, who's 2 for 2.
Well, the Astros already have their best defensive team on the field. They started against the left-hander Mulder. They started Taveras in center and Berkman at first and Burke in left. So don't figure they're going to be too many changes here the rest of the way for Houston unless they get behind.
Maybe just second base. We saw in the 9th inning that Bruntlett comes in for Biggio if they have the lead. Pretty good hit and run combination here. Burke at first, Ausmus the batter with a 1-out. 3-1 Houston, 6th inning. And the pitch from Marquis, a fastball in for a strike. It's 0-1.
You know, so much is made of Biggio and Bagwell, and rightly so, and the Houston natives, Pettit and Clemens. But Brad Ausmus has been with this franchise a long time. In fact, he was traded a couple of times away from him and then back to him. But he has been an invaluable member of this club for years.
0-1 the count as Marquis looks into Molina, now gathers in the side. Burke, the lead being held by Pujols, not going, and the pitch, a breaking ball outside. It's 1-1 on Ausmus.
Molina did the old Eddie Perez trick. He was set up outside in the other batter's box.
Osmus stepping out to look down to Doug Mansolino. If the Astros are in a hit-and-run mood, this is a pretty good spot to try it. 3-1 they lead in the 6th inning. Marquis sets, runner not going, and the pitch inside corner called strike 1-2. Despite the fact Osmus jackknifed away from the ball, and now as he steps out of the batter's box, he'll have a couple of words for the home plate umpire.
Yeah, I think all night long, Jerry Davis, the borderline pitches seem to have gone the Cardinals' way, whether they're pitching or hitting. And I think Osmus is probably asking Jerry, you told me last half inning that was a ball. 1-2
the count now. Marquis sets and deals, and Osmus slices a ball into right field, a base hit. And Burke is going to go first to third on the play. A great piece of hitting by Osmus on a fastball right in on his hands, and just a textbook inside-out swing soup to fight it off the other way.
Well, Brad Osmus 3 for 3 in this ball game, and here we go back to squeeze possibility time. Adam Everett, a good bunter, 22 sacrifice bunts a year ago. That led the National League. If the count gets favorable, don't be too surprised. It becomes a real guessing game with Tony La Russa and Phil Gardner. Each of them know the other one likes to squeeze. The other guy has to be guessing pitch out. Let's see what happens.
A capacity crowd of 52,438 here tonight in St. Louis. The first pitch is swung on and fouled back by Everett. It's 0-1. Nunez, the third baseman, right now is even with the bag. Pujols is holding on Osmus at first. The second baseman, Grzelcyk, is right on the baseline as well. Eckstein maybe 2 steps back of the baseline, deeper than the baseline. As Everett steps out again and has a long look down to third. And now Mansolino, the third base coach, will verbally tell Burke what's on. 0-1 the count. Marquis from the stretch. And the pitch, fastball inside, a ball and a strike.
Yeah, you do that every pitch. And basically it's a real subtle signal. You walk up to the guy and say, it's on. I mean, that's really it. It's not on. It's on. And they kind of put your hand over your mouth so the third baseman can't read your lips.
Roy Oswalt, the pitcher, is the on-deck hitter. The Astros looking to add to their lead, up 3-1 in the 6th inning. The 1-1, it's not on as a slider is taken down and away, ball 2.
One of my all-time favorites was Matty Williams, the third baseman, towards the end with the Arizona Diamondbacks. He'd get like this. He'd walk right over and try to stick his ear in. And I guess there's no rule against it, so I guess you had to come up with a different play when Matty was playing third base.
Well, 2-1 right now. You wouldn't think the Cardinals would pitch out. I mean, they got to be pretty gutsy behind in the count to do that. Let's see if Phil Garner's got it on. He does not, and the 2-1 is taken up and in, ball 3.
Now you might. You really might. You got Oswalt on deck. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, nothing surprises me with these two managers. And, this is old-fashioned National League baseball, and you certainly don't think the Cardinals would pitch out here.
Burke with very good speed at third. Osmus the runner at first. 1 out, 3-1 Astros in the 6th. Marquis sets. Here comes the runner. The squeeze is on. He bunts it up the third baseline, and this will get the run home. A great play by the third baseman Nunez to throw out Everett. But the run will score on the squeeze. Burke in to score. Osmus to second. 4-1 Astros.
Well, third time in the series we've had a squeeze or an attempted squeeze. It's been Everett twice. He laid down a great bunt. Nunez made a great play, but boy, I'll tell you, it would have taken some kind of courage. Tony La Russa, I guarantee you, he had that smelled out. But when you're 3-1, it takes a lot of courage to pitch out just in case you're wrong. But Phil Gardner puts it on, and the Astros get back that run. They lost last half inning.
You pitch out 3-1, you walk the batter, but if you guess right, you get the runner at home. Here's Oswalt now, and he swings and fouls back the first pitch he sees. So the Astros lead 4-1 in the 6th inning. A runner at second, 2 down now as Adam Everett squeezes home a run.
Well, I'm still waiting. I was waiting the whole series for the bases to be loaded in 3-2 and put a squeeze play on, because you don't have to bunt at it if it's ball 4. But I mean, these two managers might have done that. They do it with David Eckstein, I guarantee you.
The 0-1 to Oswalt, down and away, a ball and a strike.
3 balls, 2 strikes, bases loaded, 1 out. You put the squeeze on with David Eckstein up. Basically, you just tell them if it's ball 4, you take it, and if it's in the strike zone, you bunt it, and they're not going to be able to throw anybody out.
Adam Everett was a little bit upset. He was called out at first base, as was first base coach Jose Cruz. The 1-1 very high, ball 2. It was a great play by Nunez, charging, barehanding, and made a good throw. A big stretch by Pujols. It was very close, but it looked to me like the right call was made, that he was indeed out. So it's 4-1 Houston, 6th inning. And this is one nervous crowd here in St. Louis right now. They got a run, and then they gave it right back. The 2-1. outside. 3 balls and a strike. And this is the pitcher, Roy Oswalt, who's up there right now, and Marquis can't find the zone.
Oswalt had a pretty good cut at the first one, and wonder if Gardner might turn him loose here.
Ausmus out at second with 2 down. Marquis sets, glances back at Ausmus, and the 3-1, a fastball there for a strike, full count.
Meanwhile, Brad Ausmus has been in the middle of everything for the Astros tonight. 3 for 3, got both of their big innings started. So Ausmus having a good game 6.
4-1 Houston, 6th inning. Marquis steps off for a moment. The Cardinals do know they'll be getting Pujols up in the bottom half of this inning. A look back by Marquis, and the 3-2 fastball there. Strike 3 called, and the inning is over. Edmonds waits. Oswalt works, and a fastball into the knees for a called strike. It's 0-1. Oswalt still throwing mid-90s. The White Sox waiting and watching. Game 1 in Chicago Saturday night. The 0-1 fastball over the outside corner. 0-2.
White Sox were happy the Cardinals won game 5. They don't really care who wins the series, I don't think, but they want to see the pitching staffs of both clubs get worn out.
Here's the 0-2, and Edmonds fouls it back.
Amazing when the only game the White Sox have lost in postseason is the one that almost everybody thought for sure they would win, because the Angels had traveled cross country in 2 different days, never had any sleep, and Paul Berg going against Contreras, and that's the one they won.
Oswalt rocks into the windup, and the 0-2. Edmonds swings and pops it foul out of play left side. And shame on Jose Contreras for only going 8 1/3.
Yeah, amazing. 4 complete games. 40. I know that they've been playing. They're going to play a simulated game, I think, again tomorrow in Chicago to try to get some of those bullpen guys worked. I think they had one today, or they said they were going to.
Oswalt wants a new baseball. The White Sox in the World Series for the first time since 1959, have not won it since 1917. The Astros have never been to the World Series. The Cardinals, of course, were there last year, but have not won the World Series since 1982. 4-1 Astros, bottom of the 6th. Edmonds leading it off. And the 0-2 is low. Pujols on deck, then Walker.
I don't think I'd want to be the guy playing in a simulated game against Bobby Jenks.
No.
Especially if Bobby hadn't thrown for about a week. He may be a little rusty.
Yep. And it's coming in 99. The 1-2, and Edmonds fouls another one back. So a good job here by Edmonds. Again, the game within the game. Oswalt has had to throw a lot of pitches the last couple of innings, and instead of maybe 8 innings and then right to Lidge, well, now they may need somebody else in the 8th inning. Although guys like Chad Qualls and Dan Wheeler have been sensational in the NLCS. 1 ball, 2 strikes to count. And the pitch from Oswalt. A swing and a high pop-up into very shallow left center. Backing up is Everett, the shortstop. He's underneath it and will make the catch. 1 down.
Well, again, Pujols hits with nobody on base and a 3-run lead for the Astros, and even the mighty Albert can't do any more than get them 1 run closer.
You know, it's interesting to hear comments from some of the Cardinals after Game 5. They saw what they perceived to be a little bit too much cheering and celebrating in the Astro dugout in the final moments, or leading up to the final moments, before the Pujols hit a bat in the 9th inning. The Astros understandably excited, thinking they were, knowing they were just an out away, for one moment a strike away when Eckstein was up there. Here is Pujols now, 0 for 2, a strikeout and a ground out. And the pitch, a fastball away, ball 1. They also apparently saw a banner about ready to be unfurled on the center field wall, which was to pronounce the Astros as National League champions. And one of them said, around here in St. Louis, you need 27 outs. Pitch in for a strike, 1-1.
Well, St. Louis Cardinals were accused of maybe celebrating a little too much back in 1996 when Dennis Eckersley kind of did a fist pump against the Atlanta Braves, up 3-1, and the Braves came back and outscored them 32-1 the next 3 games.
1-1 is outside, 2 balls and a strike. Just another one of the moments that people don't see, but the champagne and the plastic sheets were up in the clubhouse. The champagne was there. The podium, the trophy was going to be presented. That was already in the Houston clubhouse. The 2-1 is up and in, ball 3. And as soon as Pujols hit the home run, they had to start getting it out of there in a hurry. And led by our friend and one of the rising stars in Major League Baseball, Chuck Torres. They got everything out of the clubhouse. They didn't get it all out right away because, of course, the Astros could have come up in the bottom of the ninth and won the game. But Chuck, who's nimble on his feet, got everything out of there in time. The 3-1, and Pujols chases one up and in, and he fouls it straight back, a full count.
Trying to figure out whether he takes down plastic better or gets rid of the champagne faster. It's, you know, it's a little bit of both.
He doesn't pick up the check so easily, I know that. 1 out and nobody on. 4-1 Astros over the Cardinals. Bottom of the 6th, a full count on Albert Pujols with Larry Walker on deck. Oswalt looking into Osmus as Pujols waits. Now the pitcher winds and works, and a swing and a ground ball back to the mound. A one-hopper speared by Oswalt, and he'll flip it on to first for the second out. And Albert Pujols is now 0 for 3.
Been able to get in on Pujols with a fastball. That's the one area Albert, like most hitters, when they get 2 strikes on him, will protect a little bit away. And he got him a kind of a check swing back in the first inning, and this time he got in on him 3-2.
Here's Larry Walker, 0 for 2 on a couple of ground balls to third. Everett, the shortstop, again away over towards second base. Big hole on the left side. And the pitch to Walker, a swing and a foul ball sliced out of play down the left field line. 4-1, Houston leads. The Astros got 2 in the third inning. A wild pitch by Mulder, then an RBI single for Biggio. Another in the fourth on a home run by Jason Lane. The Cardinals won in the bottom of the 5th. The Astros won in the top of the 6th. As Oswalt misses just inside to Walker, a ball and a strike. Walker agreeing to be traded from Colorado last year to come to St. Louis, thinking he had his best opportunity to win. Got to the World Series last year, but got swept as he takes low ball 2. Back in the NLCS a year later, and perhaps on his way to retirement as soon as this season, whenever that may come, comes to an end for him.
Sure sounded like it when we visited with him in the clubhouse. He said he'll probably really start missing it next spring, thinking about spring training, but he said he thinks he's going to be in a boat doing some fishing.
The 2-1, and Walker takes at the knees a strike, 2-2. Walker, though, always relaxed in the clubhouse before the game, telling jokes, verbally sparring with teammates. 2 outs, nobody on. And the 2-2 low, a full count on Walker. Reggie Sanders on deck should the inning continue.
The only thing you can say for the Cardinals is each hitter that walks up there is battling each at bat. This is these grinding at bats that the Yankees are so famous for. They are not giving an inch. Oswalt's just been better than them for most of the evening.
Here's the 3-2 to Larry Walker, and a swing and a ball drilled toward the right field corner, and this is a fair ball. One bounce off the wall. Lane will play it on the track as Walker glides into second with a double. What an at bat for Larry Walker.
And again, Oswalt pitching with tremendous heart, but you know, each one of these at bats is going to be taking its toll, and at some point, especially if Reggie Sanders gets on base, you may see some activity in that Houston bullpen.
Well, Oswalt's thrown 19 pitches this inning and 99 now in the game, so the Cardinals are making him work. And now Brad Osmus to the mound, and the shortstop Everett comes in as well. Berkman, the first baseman, has wandered over. And somebody is now getting up on the mound and going to the rosin bag out in that Astro pen.
Well, if it's not Chad Qualls, color me surprised. Yeah. I can't see that far, but it pretty much has to be him at this point in the game.
Here's Reggie Sanders, 0 for 2 on a couple of strikeouts against Oswalt already tonight. Houston 4, St. Louis 1. Bottom of the 6th inning, Larry Walker at second, 2 down. Sanders against Oswalt. Oswalt gets his sign and delivers, and a fastball is right down the middle for a strike. It is Chad Qualls in the Astro pen. All he's done is get 11 outs without allowing anybody to reach so far in this series in 3 separate games. Again, the chant of a Reggie here at Busch as the 0-1 fastball is up and away. And now Oswalt steps off the front of the mound as he receives the throwback from Osmus. Oswalt now over 100 pitches.
Well, Roy going to back off just a little bit. Good idea. Just gather yourself. He's been working hard. Summon a little more energy.
His 2 toughest innings have been his last 2 innings, having to throw over 20 pitches in each of them. Over 100 on the night. 4-1 Astros. The 1-1 to Sanders. A swing and a bouncer foul over near the third base dugout. It's 1-2. Bill Garner does have the luxury of knowing He's got a great bullpen, as we've mentioned. Lidge has actually been hit harder by the Cardinals than any of the other Houston relievers. Oswalt now back up on the rubber. Grzelcyk waiting on deck should the inning continue. Walker edging further and further off second. A look back by Oswalt, and the 1-2 is upstairs. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Oswalt frustrated, visibly frustrated after missing badly on that last pitch.
Yeah, he wanted to go above the waist, but he didn't want to go that high.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Reggie Sanders. Hosea Kendall hollering something out to Larry Walker, the base runner at second. Walker making sure neither of the middle infielders are getting too close to the bag. Oswalt checks him over, and the 2-2 is a fastball for strike 3 called to end the inning, and multiple pumps of the fist from Roy Oswalt as he comes off the mound. The Astros 4, the Cardinals 1. Craig Biggio leads off the 7th against Jason Marquis, takes just inside ball 1. Biggio will be followed by Willie Taveras and Lance Berkman. The Houston bullpen has gone quiet after Oswalt got out of the inning. 1-0 to Biggio, just down and in, ball 2. There is now activity in the Cardinal pen. Both a righty and a lefty. My guess would be Tavares and Flores, who have just gotten up.
Yeah, Flores would come in to pitch to Berkman. They want to turn him around and make him bat right-handed if they have to.
2-0 to Biggio. One hopper that's pulled into left field past a diving Nunez. That's a base hit for Biggio. He's 2 for 4.
And you know the Cardinals will be bunting with Tavares now. They want that 4th run, and Tavares, one of the best bunters in baseball.
Time now for Soup to answer the question of the game, brought to you by Equifax. Get your credit score and credit report now. Visit Equifax.com or call 1-800-4-EQUIFAX. Our question comes from Chris Cantu, as in Jorge Cantu, from Griffith, Indiana. Tavares up 1 for 3. Coming in at third now, Nunez. And the pitch, he does square, and he takes down and in ball 1. Chris wants to know, since the White Sox play a National League style of baseball, in quotes, will some of the advantages they've had against other American League teams be minimized this year because they'll face teams who are more used to that style in either the Cardinals or the Astros?
Good question, Chris.
That is a good question.
Yeah. I think the only thing that might affect them is when they go to the National League Park. Isaac Yen may have to think twice about pinch hitting for his pitchers, and all these guys with these complete games, that may throw them off a little bit.
1-0 the count on Tavares. Marquis a long time in the set position, and finally Marquis will step up. Tavares wasn't going to give anything away, although I think everybody just pretty much assumes he's going to try to bunt here.
Yeah, at the risk of getting ahead of yourselves, if the Astros could make the World Series.
Here's the 1-0. He squares, and he bunts it toward third, charging Nunez. The throw to first, just in time to get him. 5-3 on the put-up. The sacrifice for Tavares, moving Biggio to second.
Maybe a little bit of a romantic notion, but the Houston papers have speculated if the Astros make the World Series that Jeff Bagwell could be their DH. Now, Bagwell is not what he was before the shoulder surgery. He's still trying to gain strength back from it. He's not the home run threat that he once was. Tony La Russa will come out and bring in Randy Flores to pitch to Berkman, make sure he turns around and bats him right-handed.
Berkman 0 for 2 with a walk tonight. 4-1 Astros. Flores ready. Steps off, and looks Biggio back. The Astros out hitting the Cardinals 9-2 and leading them 4-1, top of the 7th. Runner at second, 1 out. And the pitch from Flores. Berkman takes a strike. Julian Tavares ready if needed in the pen, and for Flores this is probably a 1-batter assignment.
Yeah, with Ensberg and Lane, it'll be Tavares to come in to pitch to the right-handed batters.
So Tony La Russa running through that bullpen, but feels he needs to right now. The 0-1 and a swing and a high fly ball hit down the right field line. Larry Walker is coming over toward foul territory, pulls up near the line in fair territory, and makes the catch for the second out, holding Biggio at second with a strong throw.
Well, I think the breeze brought that one back. It looked like it might be headed towards foul territory. No sign on La Russa, but I think Tony's just taking his time, and here he comes.
Yeah, and he has made the signal already, and he's coming to the umpire, so he is going to make a double switch.
Yeah. Bottom line is, Reggie can be overmatched against big-time power pitchers, and Tony knows that if Sanders' spot in the order comes up again, it's either going to be Qualls or Brad Lidge or Oswalt, all three of them capable of overmatching Reggie, so that's why he makes that move right there.
Morgan Ensberg steps in 0 for 3. The Astros lead the Cardinals 4-1. We're in the top of the 7th, 2 outs, and Craig Biggio out at second base. Tavares 2-3 with a 3.43 ERA and 74 appearances this season for the Cardinals. The righty sets and deals to Ensberg, and he missed way outside, ball one. Now nobody is throwing in the Cardinal pen. And there is a pitcher, Qualls, we assume it is still, standing on the mound. He was throwing a little while ago for the Astros. 1-0 the count. And the pitch to Ensberg. Swing and a miss at a fastball. It's 1-1.
Well, Ensberg got a pitch up in the zone, but Julian pretty well rested, 94 miles an hour. That's kind of unlike him. He's usually featuring the good sinker, but Ensberg had a pitch to hit, didn't get it.
It is Qualls who is standing up in the Astros bullpen right now. 1-1 to Ensberg, just outside, ball two. Wasn't that bad a pitch, but Molina had slid to the inside corner, and Tavares missed his spot so badly, Molina had to reach way across his body. Might have actually been a strike. But when a catcher has to make it look like that to catch it, you won't get it called a strike. Ensberg with as open a stance as we've ever seen. The 2-1 and a swing and a line drive into center field, a base hit. And Edmonds misplays it. It bounces off his glove behind him. The run will score, heading for second, and in there safely in a head-first slide is Morgan Ensberg. It is 5-1 for the Astros.
Danny, Jim Edmonds, a terrific center fielder. Cardinal Sin just took his eye off the ball for a second to peek and see where that runner was, and it deflected off his glove. I don't know if he could have gotten the runner at the plate. He had a chance because he's got a great throwing arm, but once he bobbled it, no chance.
A single and an RBI for Ensberg, and the error on Edmonds allowing Ensberg to go to second. The Astros now have a 5-1 lead. And the batter will be Jason Lane, 1 for 3, and the one was a homer to left back in the fourth. Tavares sets. And the pitch, a swing and a miss at a slow breaking ball. It's 0-1. If you're an Astro fan, you can't help but start counting outs and thinking ahead, even though you've been there, done that.
Yeah, too many times. 1980, a 5-2 lead in the 8th inning with Nolan Ryan pitching.
A look back by Tavares. And the 0-1. Swing and a miss at another breaking ball. 0-2.
1986, Game 6. Not Game 7, but a game they had to win. 3-0 lead in the 9th inning against the Mets. Game 5, 2004. A 2-run lead with 2 outs and 2 strikes on David Eckstein. Don't tell the Astro fans they need to start counting outs. They just want to close their eyes and pray.
Here's the 0-2. And it's way outside and bounces past Molina to the backstop. And to third goes Ensberg, and he thought about trying to go home. Finally, Molina got the ball. It hit the backstop, went way over to the right, over near the first base camera bay. And it is an extremely wild pitch charged to Julian Tavares as the Cardinals are coming unglued. We've seen 3 wild pitches and an error committed by the Cardinals in this game.
Well, Julian's made some mistakes with his breaking ball. He got burned in Game 2 with a couple of hanging breaking balls. He was going to make sure he didn't hang that one, but he hung Molina out to dry. That ball was 3 feet outside.
So runner at third, 2 down. And a 1-2 count on Jason Lane as Tavares will work from the stretch. Eyes the runner at third. And the pitch to Lane. A swing and a ground ball in the hole at short. Eckstein will have a long throw. Here it comes. Just enough, as they call him, to get it there and get Lane for the out. But the Astros get another run. And now lead 5-1. Now Grzelcyk steps in. Oswalt ready to go. And the fastball is inside, ball 1.
Still pounding Grzelcyk in. They hit him last time. And again, you don't want to start off an inning hitting a batter. Make them hit their way on. No walks.
He said Grzelcyk hit Eckstein back in the third. The 1-0 fastball inside corner for a strike. 1-1.
Cardinals look like they may be taking a strike now, and that's good philosophy when you're down 4. You need base runners.
Oswalt gets a sign from Osmus, and the 1-1 breaking ball fouled off down the right field line. It's 1-2. Oswalt said yesterday he doesn't care if they win 1-0 or 11-10. All it is about the W's, and there does not appear to be any ego trouble anywhere in that Houston clubhouse. The relievers have talked about it. The players have talked about it. When you start 15-30 and then you get back into the playoff hunt, that has a way of fostering togetherness. The 1-2 and a slow curve hit up the middle. A diving stop by Everett. Back to his feet and on to first. Berkman digs it out, and Grzelcyk is retired. What a great play by Adam Everett.
Well, Adam Everett's one of those shortstops that doesn't get a lot of publicity, but he's a terrific defender. And he made a good play on Grzelcyk and a good play by Berkman to pull it out at first base. That's a huge out number one when you have a 4-run lead. Don't let the other team up for air.
Boy, I don't know if I've ever seen a shortstop get back to his feet as quickly as Everett just did after diving to come up with that ball. Here's Yadier Molina, 1 for 2. And a fastball there for a strike. It's 0-1.
Well, we've seen some acrobats in the game today. The great Ozzie Smith could get out his feet pretty quickly. Jack Wilson in Pittsburgh can do it.
Time is granted by home plate umpire Jerry Davis rather late. Molina called time. Oswalt looked like he'd already started his windup when time was called. Now Molina steps back in. 1 out, nobody on. 5-1 Astros, bottom of the 7th. And the 0-1, a fastball swung on, fouled off right side, 0-2. Oswalt still throwing 95 miles an hour here in the 7th inning.
Well, as the old Giant manager and longtime pitching coach for many organizations, Roger Craig would say, he's going Potter River right now. We go, what? Potter River.
Here's the 0-2 and a fastball line foul out of play right side. The Cardinal hitters still can't catch up.
No, he can feel it. He can taste it. He's throwing a lot of fastballs, and he hasn't lost any velocity. It looked like he was giving a little ground the last couple of innings, but maybe that long half inning it re-energized him.
5-1 Astros. The 0-2 to Molina, and a swing and a 2-hopper out to second. Up with a DiBiggio on to first. Molina is retired. 2 down. And I wouldn't be surprised if Oswalt's already been told or was told before this half inning, give it everything you got. 7 innings is all you're going tonight.
Yep, don't leave anything in the bank, Roy.
Here's Abraham Nunez, the third baseman, 0 for 2. 2 outs, nobody on. The Cardinals have been held to just 2 hits tonight through 6 2/3. So Taguchi is on deck. Remember, he's down in the 9 spot now. The pitcher's spot is in the 5th spot of the Cardinal order. Nunez waits, and the pitch from Oswalt, a fastball just upstairs, ball 1. Game 1 of the World Series Saturday night from U.S. Cellular Field in Chicago, and you can hear it right here on ESPN Radio. The 1-0, a swing and a line drive right back through the box into center field. A solid base hit for Nunez.
Well, Nunez, who did not have very good lifetime numbers against Oswalt, gives him a big hit here, so that brings Taguchi up, and Oswalt could be looking at about last hitter time right here.
Taguchi getting a big ovation. He's a real fan favorite here. A terrific 4th outfielder, good speed, good defense, has become a better hitter. Oswalt has thrown 114 pitches right now, and he will stay to face Taguchi, a right-handed hitter. Ensberg even with a bag at third. And the pitch, a swing and a foul off right side out of play, 0-1.
Phil Garner looking at his lineup card, going 1, 2, 3, 4 more guys. When it's the 4th guy, it's Albert again. He does not want to see Albert this inning, trust me.
Eckstein on deck, 2 outs. And the 0-1, a swing and a foul back into the screen. 0-2 quickly on So Taguchi. Roy Oswalt challenging people with fastballs and throwing strikes.
If Oswalt can get Taguchi out here, Garner can look at his lineup card and know that Albert's a 3rd hitter next inning and cannot tie the game. That's how managers think. Tony basically admitted today, hey, we have to look at the glass as half empty, because they're always looking at what might happen.
5-1 Houston leads. The 0-2 outside. The Astros started to take the crowd out of the game with that 2-run 3rd inning. Got another in the 4th inning. St. Louis got 1 back in the 5th, but the Astros 1 in the 6th, 1 in the 7th. Now leading 5-1. The 1-2, a swing and a weak ground ball to the right side. Berkman has it, has to play it back to Oswalt near the bag at first, and Oswalt steps on first just ahead of Taguchi. The inning is over. We are through 7. Burke ready to go, and Tavares' first pitch is up and in, ball 1. Burke is 1 for 3. He singled and scored in the 6th inning. They've spread around the offense tonight. DiBiggio's got a couple of hits, an RBI and a run scored. Jason Lane is homered. Ensberg has an RBI single. There's the 1-0 in for a strike, 1-1. Everett has singled and scored. Brad Ausmus is 3 for 3, and he has scored a run. Roy Oswalt got a big sacrifice down early in the game. The 1-1 from Tavares, and a slider swung on and popped up at a shallow center field. It'll be the second baseman, Grzelcyk, making the catch. Burke retired, 1 down.
Activity for the Astros again. Assume it's Qualls standing up there, although interestingly Qualls is supposed to be the 7th inning guy, Wheeler the 8th, but the way Qualls is throwing in the series, it'd be pretty tough not to bring him in.
Here's Osmus 3 for 3. If anybody reaches this inning, Oswalt's spot would be due, so we might get a bit of advance notice on what Phil Garner's plans are. Tavares winds and works, and the pitch to Osmus, a slider just outside, ball 1.
Well, as Jim Hickey told his pitching staff, we had defined rules during the regular season. All bets are off in postseason. Just be ready to go, and this team accepts that.
Even with a bag of third, Nunez, everybody else deep on the infield for the Cardinals. The 1-0 to Osmus, and a fastball grounded out to short. 2 hopper for Eckstein. And the throw to first in plenty of time. Osmus retired 2 down.
Russ Springer, the veteran of the bullpen down there, he's the guy that is the glue that kind of holds all those young guys together. And he just says, we check our egos at the door. We root for each other. Whichever guy Phil Garner or Jim Hickey wants in the game, we pull for him. And we don't worry about anything else.
Yep. Here's Adam Everett. He's had a big night. A couple of good defensive plays. He's also had an infield hit and scored a run. And he's also squeezed home a run tonight. 2 outs, nobody on. 5-1 Astros in the 8th. And the pitch from Tavares inside, ball 1.
David Eckstein has been busy tonight. Just checked the score sheet. 6 assists, a put out on a pop-up. So he's handled everything flawlessly on the defensive side.
Everett waiting. And now the 1-0 is on the way. And a swing and a foul off at the plate. May not mean anything, but Oswalt is out in the on-deck circle right now. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 8th. The Cardinals will send up the top of the order. Eckstein, Edmonds, and Pujols. They're down by 4. The 1-1 to Everett, and did he go on the appeal to first? Yes, he did, says Tim McClellan. 1-2 as Everett couldn't lay off that pitch inside.
Well, maybe Phil Garner was watching Ozzie Guillen in the American League Championship Series and went, well, my starting pitcher, that's what his job is, to go 9.
Yep.
We'll see.
It's all going to become clear pretty soon. 2 outs, nobody on. Tavares looking into Molina. And the 1-2 pitch. A swing and a miss at a ball in the dirt. The tag now applied by Molina. And there's the right fist going up for the outside. The inning is over. And we'll go to the bottom of the 8th. We are back to the bottom of the 8th inning here in St. Louis. Dan Shulman and Dave Campbell bringing you Game 6 of the National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio. Handshakes all around for Roy Oswalt. His night is done. Chad Qualls is on in relief. Top of the order for the Cardinals. Eckstein, Edmonds, and Pujols. The first pitch to Eckstein outside, ball 1. It's Houston 5, St. Louis 1. The Astros 5 times in their history have had a chance to win a game and go to the World Series 0-5. The 1-0 to Eckstein there for a strike, 1-1. And in 3 of the previous 5, as we mentioned, up at least a couple of runs in the 8th inning or later. That again applies here tonight. Eckstein 0 for 2, hit by a pitch. Qualls sets. And the 1-1, a fastball there for a strike, 1-2. Qualls, one of the big success stories for the Astros in this series.
11 batters faced, 11 batters retired. Boring sinker, dive bombing in on the right-handed batters, and a pretty sharp slider to boot.
And he's actually facing the toughest part of the lineup here in the 8th inning. The 1-2, and Eckstein chops one to third, foul. And we can give away. Can we give away a trade secret?
Sure.
We get one of the votes for NLCS MVP, and we were asked to vote down at Houston. I guess it was round about the bottom of the 8th inning when it looked like the Astros were going to win. At that point, no starting pitcher had pitched twice, no hitter. Berkman had that 1 home run, but no hitter had really distinguished himself. We didn't think that Litch had pitched at his best, and this was before the 9th inning of Game 5. There's the 1-2 slashed foul over the first base dugout. So Soup and I went off the board, and we had voted Chad Qualls for NLCS MVP, only to see St. Louis come back and win Game 5. What do you think the odds are he's got an incentive clause in his contract for NLCS MVP? 1-2 the count. The pitch to Eckstein, and a swing and a weak ground ball out to second. Biggio up with it on to first, 1 down. 5-1 Houston, 1 down in the bottom of the 8th. Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification. You're listening to the National League Championship Series on ESPN Radio, delivered by the United States Postal Service.
You're listening to the St. Louis Cardinals on XM Satellite Radio.
Jim Edmonds will step in. 1 out, nobody on. Bottom of the 8th. The Cardinals batting and trailing 5-1. The Astros try to close them out here in Game 6. The pitch from Qualls, a fastball over the outside corner with the knees, called strike 1. Left-hander Mike Gallo is warming up in the Astros bullpen. Qualls sets. And the 0-1, a slider down and in, a ball and a strike.
Well, a couple of reasons. Larry Walker hits behind Pujols. They still have John Mabry over on the bench, which is probably the guy that Phil Garner fears the most of the bench players that Tony La Russa has.
Qualls straightens up with a sign from Osmus. And the 1-1 to Edmonds. He reaches for it and pokes it foul out of play, third base side, 1-2. Now checking over the bat. Hit it right off the end of the bat, making sure the bat is okay. And now he wants to know from Jerry Davis, had he taken that pitch, would it have been a strike? Great natural movement on that sinker from Qualls, down and away from left-handed hitters such as Edmonds. Pujols, a menacing figure in the on-deck circle, but not as menacing, because no matter what he does, he can't bring the Cardinals all the way back all by himself. Now the 1-2 is outside. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Roy Oswalt tonight, 7 innings, 1 run on 3 hits. He walked 1, hit 2, and struck out 6.
At this point, the Astros must make the Cardinals earn their way on base by swinging the bats. No walks, no hit batters.
Qualls sets. And the 2-2 to Edmonds. A swing and a miss. He got him. 2 down for the Cardinals here in the bottom of the 8th. Again, that sinker with great late movement down and away from Edmonds. And now here comes Pujols.
Well, Chad Qualls has been about as perfect as you can be, and if he gets Albert Pujols, you can stick a big feather in his cap. He's gotten Pujols twice in the series.
And Pujols tonight, a quiet 0 for 3, a strikeout and a couple of groundouts. 5-1 the Astros lead. 2 out, nobody on. St. Louis batting in the bottom of the 8th. The pitch from Qualls, and it's just upstairs, ball 1. There's activity now in the Cardinal pen as well.
Well, that's because the pitcher hits 2 spots away.
Here's the 1-0 to Pujols, and a swing and a liner to short, caught by Everett. The inning is over. Qualls does it again. Houston leads St. Louis 5-1. Out of the Cardinal pen comes Jason Isringhausen, their closer, and another double switch by the Cardinals. John Mabry takes over for So Taguchi in left field. So Mabry goes into the 5 spot, and the pitcher goes back down into the 9 spot. With the pitcher due up for the Astros to lead off the 9th, Phil Garner sends up Orlando Palmeiro to pinch hit. The Astros again are on the cusp of advancing to the World Series with an even bigger lead tonight at this stage of the game than they had in Game 5 on a Monday night. Palmeiro against Isringhausen, and the first pitch of the top of the 9th is taken high, ball 1. Looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th for the Cardinals, Larry Walker, John Mabry, and Mark Resolanek. Albert Pujols made the last out of the 8th. Here's the 1-0 from Isringhausen, and a swing and a fly ball hit to right field. Walker coming over to his right will make the catch, 1 down. Warming up in the Astros pen was Mike Gallo. Now is Brad Lidge. Gallo, the lefty, was up with Walker, a left-handed hitter, due. And now the Cardinals have 2 left-handed hitters leading off the bottom of the 9th.
Well, Carter is just going right back to his main man. He's saying, you know, that was an aberration the other night. You got to put him back in the saddle. You're going to need him in the World Series if you get there. And
a 4-run lead, at least, when he comes to the mound. Craig Biggio, the batter, and he'll take a fastball into the knees for a strike. And again, Albert Pujols, due up 9th in the inning. That's the best news of all if you're a fan of the Astros. Here's the 0-1 from Isringhausen, a breaking ball down and away, a ball and a strike. A team effort tonight. Offensively, they've spread it around. The only home run by Jason Lane. The biggest performance came on the mound from Roy Oswalt. The 1-1, a curveball, bounced down to third. 2-hopper for Nunez, and the throw to first in time to get Biggio for the 2nd out. It is not Brad Lidge warming up, Soup. It is Dan Wheeler warming up in the pen right now for the Astros.
Well, let's see about that.
Again, it'll all become clear soon enough. 2 outs, nobody on in the top of the 9th. 5-1 Houston. So Gallo was up. He sat down. Now Wheeler is up, not Lidge.
Well, we know Qualls isn't coming back because they pinch hit for him.
Taveras is 1 for 3, also has a sacrifice tonight. Oswalt, 7 innings, 1 run, 14 innings, 2 runs in his 2 starts in this series. The pitch to Taveras into the knees for a strike. It is a crowd of better than 52,000 here tonight. Few have left, but they are very quiet. Remember, if the Cardinals lose this game, it's the end of Busch Stadium. The new Busch Stadium would open next year. The 0-1. And a swing and a foul back, 0-2. And this would be a bitter pill to swallow for Tony La Russa, feeling he had as good a team as he had last year and trying to take it 1 step further than they took it last year. Injuries played a role. And for La Russa, this is his 11th trip to the postseason as a manager. Won 1 World Series. That was back in '89 with the A's. The 0-2 and a swing and a foul back.
Well, the theme for the Cardinals this year was unfinished business. They marched through the division series. They won a hard-fought 7-game series against the Astros, and they ran into a juggernaut, the Boston Red Sox, who were clicking on all cylinders at that time of year. And 3, 4, and 5 hitters of the Cardinals went 5 for 42 in the series, and the Red Sox were phenomenal.
The 0-2 and a breaking ball down and away. If the Astros win this series, it'll mark the 4th year in a row that a wild card gets to the World Series. And remember, each of the last 3 years a wild card has won the World Series. Angels, Marlins, and Red Sox. 5-1 Houston. The 1-2 to Taveras. A swing and a line drive, base hit into left field. He hit a pretty good curveball right there that was down and out of the strike zone. A 2-out single for Taveras will get Berkman to the plate. It's not quite as quiet here now as it was in Houston after Pujols' home run on Monday, but it's not far off.
Lance gets a hit from the left side for the first time tonight. He was batting right-handed all night against Mulder and then against Randy Flores.
0 for 3 with a walk, 6 for 20 with a homer in the NLCS. Taps the plate a couple of times with his bat. Taveras, the lead being held by Pujols as Isringhausen sets. 2 outs in the inning. Taveras not going, and the pitch way down and in. Ball 1 to Berkman.
Not very good numbers for Lance against Izzy. 2 for 14 with 5 strikeouts.
So again, if you're just joining us or just jumping back into the car, the Astros up 5-1 in the 9th, and Dan Wheeler is going to come in and pitch the bottom of the 9th. Throw to first and Taveras back in. Not Brad Lidge.
You know, remember when you asked Phil Garner certain questions, he said, well, I'd like to answer that, but if I did, I'd have to kill you then.
That's when I stopped asking. I mean, you know, I want to know, but not that much. 1-0 the count. Wheeler every now and again throwing just 1 extra pitch here and there. The 1-0 a swing and a foul tip, and it's 1-1 on Berkman. Now, generally, if this is June, you'd have Wheeler up there because it's not a save situation. But generally, when it's a clinching game in a playoff series, you know, you try to drop the hammer on him. But
some things I just don't understand.
Yeah. And Phil Garner has been more than most a hunch manager. Yep. This would be the all-hunch World Series between Ozzie, or the all-gut World Series between Ozzie Guillen and Phil Garner. Should the Astros advance, neither one of them cares about the book a whole lot. 1-1 the count. Taveras the lead. Not going, and the pitch to Berkman, a swing and a miss at a breaking ball, 1-2.
And that's why Izzy's had the good success against Berkman. He's got that knuckle curveball. The bottom just falls out of it, and that's a tough pitch for Lance to hit from the left side. Not too many guys have that kind of a breaking ball. Again,
Larry Walker, John Mabry, and Mark Resolanek due up in the bottom of the 9th for the Cardinals. Albert Pujols made the last out of the bottom of the 8th. 5-1 Houston. Throw to first. Taveras back in standing up.
You know, they may send Taveras right here. I mean, once Berkman's got 2 strikes on him, go ahead and send him, because worst case scenario, if they tie it up, you wouldn't mind having Lance leading off in the 10th inning. Heaven forbid for the Astros.
Isringhausen sets. Taveras not going, and the pitch taken down and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Astros again 3 outs away from advancing. And the crowd now one more time trying to muster the energy to make some noise as they start to chant, "Let's go Cardinals," trying to get this defense off the field. The 2-2, a swing and a foul tip held by Molina, and the inning is over. So we will go to the bottom of the 9th. The Astros up 4, 3 outs away. Houston 5, St. Louis 1. Dan Wheeler comes out of the pen for the Astros. Brad Lidge now starts throwing in the pen. Larry Walker getting a prolonged standing ovation in what could be his final major league at bat. Walker tonight 1 for 3, doubled his last time up. 5-11-0 for the Astros, 1-3-1 for the Cardinals. The pitch from Wheeler, a fastball for a strike. Wheeler's third appearance of the NLCS. He's worked an inning and 2/3 and given up a base hit. Qualls a perfect 8th. If the Astros win this, don't forget about Qualls. 14 batters faced, 14 batters retired in this series. The 0-1 from Wheeler and a swing and a foul off at the plate. 0-2 on Larry Walker.
But we did change our MVP vote.
Yes.
So,
given the outstanding pitching performance by today's starting pitcher, if the Astros win, if they can close it out here in the bottom of the 9th, Roy Oswalt would get his second win, second very, very good performance in this series. The Astros 3 outs away. 0-2 the count on Walker. And the pitch from Wheeler, a high fastball, 1 ball, 2 strikes. John Mabry on deck. Mark Grzelcyk after him. 4, 5, and 6. Albert Pujols is a long way away. Wheeler sets, and the 1-2 to Walker, a slider down and in. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Walker leading off the bottom of the 9th. Everybody standing here at Busch Stadium. This could be the final half inning of baseball here in St. Louis. Eric Bruntlett, or here at this stadium. Eric Bruntlett has taken over for Craig Biggio at second for the Astros. The 2-2 and a fastball at the knees, strike 3 called. And a dejected Larry Walker makes his way back to the dugout.
Well, the Astro bullpen, maligned a year ago, has certainly matured. And I'm not talking about Brad Lidge maligned, but the middle relief, Qualls had an ERA of 11 in the postseason a year ago. Wheeler acquitted himself pretty well. Vaselli had a tough time. He gave up game-winning home runs in games 2 and 6. But this year's bullpen has really made a difference.
Walker going through his routine, putting the bat back, putting the helmet back, taking off the gloves, maybe for the last time. Here is John Mabry. And the pitch, a swing and a pop-up back out of play. It's 0-1. We're in the bottom of the 9th here at Busch Stadium. It's the Astros 5 and the Cardinals 1. The Astros are now 2 outs away with a 4-run lead. Wheeler on the mound and Lidge warming in the pen just in case. Longtime Astros, Biggio, Bagwell inching closer to their first trip to the World Series. The 0-1, a swing and a miss. 0-2 on Mabry. Mabry late on that. And a lot of other players who were either born near Houston or raised in or near Houston. Clemens, Pettit, or just with Texas roots, Berkman. These guys getting closer and closer to realizing a dream. Wheeler sets. And the 0-2 just outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. 44th year of Houston Astro baseball. 4th time in the NLCS. Each of the 3 times painful losses because they were so close and so hard fought. Wheeler sets. And the 1-2 to Mabry. A swing and a miss. He got him. 2 down. And right now as we look into the Houston dugout, there's a little bit of clapping. Nobody's jumping. Nobody's stomping around. Nobody's getting too excited. Nobody is getting ahead of themselves after what happened on a Monday night. But now it's a 4-run lead with 2 outs and nobody on. And Albert Pujols' spot in the lineup still a long way away. Mark Grzelcyk will be the batter. Even with a bag at third is Ensberg. The rest of the infielders deep. The outfielders play Grzelcyk to hit the other way. Wheeler gets his sign. And the pitch, a fastball in for a strike, 0-1. They're all still here, and they're all standing in St. Louis, but they are not making a whole lot of noise. It has become evident to them that maybe there are no more miracles left for the Cardinals this year. Flashbulbs popping all over the ballpark right now as the 0-1 to Grzelcyk is lined into left field, a base hit. A 2-out single, and a man aboard for the Cardinals, down 4 here in the 9th as Yadier Molina comes to the plate.
Still looking at that Astro dugout. Phil Garner, no move yet. It's still not a safe situation, but this is not about individual stats here. But you can bet one more guy gets on base, we're going to see Lidge.
After Molina, it'll be Abraham Nunez. And then the pitcher spot scheduled for the Cardinals.
Yeah, the interesting thing is Nunez, of all the Cardinal hitters, has the best numbers against Lidge, 3 for 8.
Berkman plays behind the runner Grzelcyk at first. He's already 30 feet off the bag. There he goes as the pitch is swung on and hit into right field. This should do it. The catch is made by Lane, and the Houston Astros are going to the World Series for the first time in franchise history. They had to wait about an extra 48 hours, but well worth the wait if you're a fan of the Astros, as Roy Oswalt jumps on top of the heap that's gathered out on the mound. The Cardinal fans now saluting their team and saying goodbye to Busch Stadium. The Astros are going to the World Series Saturday night in Chicago.